Attention! Please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
He's like, I could do this all day.
I know.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Even if
you died.
The Endgame. Wow. Right off the bat.
No
Even
subtlety there.
Wow.
And my heart is broken all over again.
Yeah, multiple
But
times.
it isn't apparent. This episode will contain massive spoilers.
Massive. Biggest ones.
But-
Yes. Today, we are talking full spoilers of the 11-year, 22-film, 2-character full arc completion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're talking about Avengers Endgame. So,
It's beautiful.
That's my celebration.
The Infinity Saga comes to an end.
Yes.
with that, let's get right into it. My name is Tom.
Ali.
Caitlin.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at Patreon. Yes, if you are new to Patreon, it is essentially a membership service in which you can support your favorite creators. And in supporting your favorite creators, you get goodies like bonus episodes, Discord server, early access to merch, all sorts of good stuff. Check it out, nerdon.io/Patreon.
Every dollar helps.
It does,
Every
though.
dollar.
Not
Less than the
serious.
cost of a movie ticket. So everyone, we know that this is a big episode. This is going to be a little bit
yeah.
longer than our normal
Yes.
programming. Everyone that's new to
It's
the
a
show,
special.
hold on to your butts. Go along for the ride. We're going to be talking about
We can
the
do this
film.
all day.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about
know.
the
Yeah,
film.
I know.
We're going to rate it.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do some special stuff and talk about our speculations about something we don't normally do on
We
the show.
don't. Yeah. So I just want to
Yeah.
point out real quick. We don't usually do. We avoid speculation at all costs.
We do.
But we feel like.
But this is a celebration.
It's necessary in
Yeah.
this one because it's very up in the air.
And with that, since this is a completion, this is a completed film. That means at the end we're gonna rate, and that means we get to
Guess that
grump.
Everyone is moving on. My childhood is dead.
Spider-Man's alive.
I immediately turn to you now, Corey, just to see like what new song you're going to be giving us this time.
I thought about maybe starting to write them before I come in.
You should.
Yeah.
You
New
always-
pop anthem.
You
I
always
think I
sound
will.
like the song that plays during celebrities read mean tweets.
That's okay.
That's what you
Yeah.
sound like.
Yeah.
So if you're new to the show, which I hope most of you are, but you aren't, then you know where this is. Guess That Grump is a segment of our show where at the end, since we're going to rate out of 1 out of 5, no matter how low the number is in the group, if it's the lowest number, then you are the grump of the week. And since multiple people explain, I'm still going to go first, and I'm going to think. This is kind
This
of
one's hard.
This is ridiculous.
I have been thinking
This is
about it.
ridiculous. I think Caitlin's going to be it.
I think she's offended.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
so
It's
surprised.
not going to be Ali. It's not going to be Josh for a fact. Corey is the only maybe, but you're the only one that's I think doesn't fall in love with the Marvel films as much as everyone else does.
Also, people's ratings are some are a little more generous, some are a little more biased. Or,
Well, some people say generous 4.
Sure,
Anyways,
sure.
Tom. I think it's gonna be Tom.
Corey thinks it's Tom. So,
But I think I have like an amendment to that I think we're all gonna be very high on the
Yeah.
list. I think it's gonna be a very soft grump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Soft ground.
soft like
It doesn't
a,
I don't know
have
what
as
that
much of
means,
a-
but
like
okay,
a gamma
buddy.
irradiated
You know what I
arm.
mean? Like you know what
It's
I
like
mean?
a grump.
Yeah. Like it's when someone says it's a soft no.
Like
Grump-ish.
Like it's not no set in stone, soft no.
It's
for now.
like melted ice cream.
I
So,
think it's gonna be like, yeah, he's the grump, but like,
I think Corey will be the soft grump then.
oh, okay.
I was going to say Corey, soft grump.
Wow.
I'm going to give it to Tom.
Are you shitting me?
So that's 1 on Caitlin, 2 on Corey, and 2 on Tom. So Tom, right? Yeah.
So
we're last.
2 on Corey and 2 on me.
So Tom and I
And Caitlin has
will be
1.
last.
Okay.
Which is kind of poetic, I think.
So yeah, everyone at home, please play along. If you think that one of us is going to be the grump, before the episode finishes, send us who you think, and also tell us what your number is, 1 out of 5. With that, we go into the complete spoilers, the first impression, and initial reactions of what we thought of the film. Who would like to go first?
Not me.
Initial reactions, no qualms, no favorite parts, just initial
I'm
reactions.
just writing down the tallies still.
I'll start up with mine. Initial reactions. I went in as hyped as anyone could be, and then some. And what the amount of pure joy and glee that I got from this was way more than I could ever hope for.
This movie was hyped. I mean, this has been the past 11 years of my life. So going into my 20s and now in my 30s, this has been a constant for me. So going into this, I was really nervous. Like I was not nervous in the sense of like, will they, can they, blah, 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 but just nervous.
Yeah.
Just like nervous energy going in, being like, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah.
I was not let down at all by anything. And
So everyone who
I
put
walked
Corey's
I walked this line of pure joy and heartbreak, and not heartbreak in a sad way either, but like a happy heartbreak.
Yeah.
So I left fulfilled.
Like what I can only imagine watching my like kid graduate college or something would be like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Josh. I see your mouth open.
Yeah, this movie was probably one of the most hyped movies that I've seen in my life in terms of how hyped it was. And I walked in, I was so freaking excited. Just from first frame to last frame, I was just like, holy crap, this was awesome. I really enjoyed the experience
It's a
of it.
beautiful film.
Yeah, it was the experience of it, not just watching the film, personal experience, but also the experience of the audience interacting. It was just the whole thing was just like, wow, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think I had an existential moment because if everyone knows me, they know that like I work really hard towards the special endeavors that I do with filmmaking and everything like that. And I understand that there's a process, and I understand that there's time in that process. And up until this moment, every film felt like it's part of the process. And
Yeah.
everything has to be a payoff for the last film, and it has to be a set for the next film. And it got a little mundane for me because it's kind of like, I just want to see where it goes. I just
Yeah,
want to see
yeah.
where it goes. And every single film almost felt like it was not important until that point. And after Infinity War, this was the first time, I think, since after Iron Man and Avengers, I said, I don't know what's going to happen.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it's like everything's off the table. And it reinvigorated this idea in my mind of it's cool. It feels exciting because I don't know what's going to happen, and I should look forward to that. Like I don't need to know everything that's happening in the comic books.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
going to pay off all this time, 11 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
And it feels very good that there's an end to things. It feels there's a finality, and
Yeah.
it feels like the journey was worth it.
To me, this felt like out of all the MCU movies, this felt the most comic book in a lot of sense. Like when you read a saga or a series and all that buildup finally comes to this closure, and you close that final page on your comic and you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
What's
like
next?
that, I got that feeling watching this movie.
Exactly.
Kaylin.
I know it's going to be such a surprise when I say I like the movie.
Wow.
It really was that payoff though, and also in a sense a cliffhanger, because while everything has now been completed, there is that what's next. And I will say I was more afraid because I'm so personally invested in every single character
No.
in the movie that going in, I knew there would be loss.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure who we were going to lose. And I was surprised
Yeah.
to a degree.
Yeah. So
With
that's that.
With that, everyone at home, just really quick, like we said in the beginning, there's spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie, this episode is not for you yet.
Pause this movie.
Yes.
Go to
Pause
any
this
movie
episode
theater.
and then
Any of
watch the
them.
movie.
Any single one. A lot of them open 24/7 still. Come back 3 hours later and let us know
Yeah,
what you
this
think.
is the first movie that I've seen in a long time that, like, the next day, because I saw this twice, the next day I was like, I can go see it at 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this is the first time and the day that it came out on that Thursday, it was showing at like 1 a.m. Like,
There was a lot of showings
Mhm.
Thursday
so
night.
there are options.
And it's pretty important
And they're also
as
out.
well
Yes.
that there are so many showings, because also the moment I finished watching the 3-hour-long movie, I remember I sat in my car and just stared at nothing for 20 whole minutes of my life, because I was like, what did I just see?
Well, and it also opened a lot of options for people who, like myself, who couldn't buy the tickets the day it came out, or wasn't quick enough, or the site crashed, or whatever. There's a lot of issues with people trying to get tickets to this movie.
And the scalping that
Yeah.
happened after.
So the fact that they've added more that they're catering to the people who weren't as fortunate to get tickets or didn't have the access to tickets on day one. I love that the movie community is kind of banding together.
It's
For
a
that.
special occasion for the whole film and
One of the
comic community.
largest.
It is the largest.
It is the largest movie events in history.
Yeah. I mean, there's Bond 25, but those aren't, all connected
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But just a little bit before we get into the synopsis too, I just want to kind of do a quick disclaimer for everyone. Like, spoilers is not, to me, it's not something that should be welcomed a lot. And don't ruin this for somebody that's been waiting 11 years.
It's not a weapon.
Don't ruin this.
Right.
Don't take away someone's sunshine that they have nothing to look forward to because, like they have their family they're waiting on to they're going to watch the movie with. Like,
Yeah.
I've had so many relationships in between the times of these films that all ended. Like, Marvel's longer than any of the relationships I've ever had.
Yeah.
in a funny fact, but it's like sometimes some people wait for their family members to watch these films. So everyone at home that's listening, if you're new, if you're old, don't be that person.
You
that
see people
spoils the
waiting
film.
outside in line to go see their chance to see this movie they've been waiting 11 years to see.
Yeah.
Don't fuck it up.
Um,
Don't be
If
an
you're at a
asshole.
restaurant
Please.
afterwards,
I'm gonna just be
don't
frank
talk
about it.
about it.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
And this episode is not meant to be spoilers, but it's like we're going to talk about the film.
we're
and-
discussing.
because we love the film,
Yeah.
and we're going to
Yeah.
talk about our favorite parts of it. This is not to create controversy or anything like that.
This is the space to nerd out about the thing you saw.
Yes. And for all the, again, another thing, just for all the nerds that are kind of like, oh, well, the Marvel films or whatever, all that stuff. Like, I just want to read something that I wrote down a while ago. And it's like, to everyone excited for Endgame, this is the feeling that nerds have had for every new trilogy of Star Wars, for every crossover event in comic books, for every transformation of our favorite anime characters, and for every achievement we earned in video games. So don't take away their sunshine. Don't take away their light. Don't be that person that spoils this Endgame. With that, let's get into the fun part. So, brief synopsis. So we start out after the snap. We start out with Hawkeye's family, and they get snapped away.
Yep.
Then we go to space 22 days after the event.
21. Well, 22.
Tony Stark and Nebula are learning how to play. Or Tony Stark is teaching Nebula how to play a paper football. And he's about to die. They get saved by Captain Marvel and get brought to the Avengers compound. Captain America shaves, and they.
It is an
they have a
important plot
falling
point.
out.
And
Important.
Tony Stark is pissed. He is mad because the events of Age of Ultron has come to pass. He needed him. He calls him a traitor. And pretty much that's the start of the new credits. The new credits where it shows all of the old Marvel credits start. And we get to the point where they have a plan. They're going to go find Thanos because the same cosmic energy that happened on Earth is found on this planet. And since they found Nebula, Nebula said, hey, he's going to this garden.
The same cosmic energy from the first snap.
Thor has PTSD because he didn't do the killing blow.
Didn't go for
and
the head.
He has this huge ego that he fucked up. So they go to this planet, and Thanos is destroyed looking. He's just like burnt from the snap. And then they ambush him. War Machine, Rocket, Captain Marvel, Nebula, Captain America, Black Widow, except no Iron Man. Because he's all wrecked. He's all Iron Man 1 looking.
Yeah.
And they kill him. They find out that he used the stones to destroy the stones, and that was the cosmic power that they saw on that planet.
And it nearly killed him.
Yes, and there's no way to stop it. There's no way to reverse the event of the snapping. And 5 years later goes by.
Well, then Thor goes for
Thor
the
steps
Thor
in.
kills him. Yeah, I was like, they kill him.
Yeah.
Thor cuts his head off, and they end up 5 years later. And Ant-Man, and the one of the 14 million chances, a rat steps on a couple of buttons and gets him out of the quantum realm, out of that little the van. And
To him, it was 5 hours.
yes. So pretty much he has to see that his daughter's grown up. Captain America is running the survivors group. Black Widow's running all of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're still avenging, but there's nothing to avenge, and they really never avenged the big thing. Captain Marvel has a new haircut.
He runs, and then Captain America runs a support group.
Yeah.
Yes, I said that.
No, sorry.
And Ant-Man shows up, and he says, hey, I got something to talk about quantum mechanics, quantum physics. Do you guys know anything about it? And he says, maybe there's a way to do time travel, a time heist. And they say, how are we going to figure this out? They go to Iron Man, and it's 5 years later. He has a daughter, Morgan. They talked about that in Infinity War. And he's living the life. He said what he said to Cap in Age of Ultron. It's like, maybe I should do what Barton did and have a farm at a lake. And he has that. And they say, hey, Tony, this is a way for us to undo the things that we undo the bad. And he said, this is my second chance right here. And he says, sorry guys, I can't do this. He being Iron Man and Iron Man 3 specifically,
Curiosity sparks.
he can't go to sleep. He has to figure out how to
Yeah.
do it. So he creates a Mobius strip with some eigenvalues and finds a way to time travel. Throughout that time, Captain and Black Widow, as well as Ant-Man, find the next biggest brain they could find. They find Professor Hulk. Bruce Banner has found a way to accept the Hulk into his life, and they pretty much get the best of both worlds.
Not
The
a curse, but a cure.
the strength and the brains. They go and try practicing this time travel thing with this gaudy bullshit suit that Ant-Man has, and time travels through him. Not he doesn't travel through time. So he is a baby, just like in Ant-Man and the Wasp, old man, baby again, and they figure it out. And when Iron Man figures out that like, hey, I need to go do this, because he gets reminded of a picture of Peter Parker, the kid that he lost. He goes to the Avenger compound. He gives Cap his shield, and they get started on making this thing. At the same time, there he's like, "Are we getting the band back together?" So we get this Blues Brothers band back together thing. Professor Hulk as well as Raccoon go to New Asgard, which is in Scotland, because Odin said this could be Asgard. They go, they
right? Norway, I thought.
Norway.
Norway. Yeah.
They see
Cliffs of
Valkyrie.
Norway.
She's alive. Korg and wherever Needle Dude is alive. Thor is thick with 2 C's.
Chick Thor.
He's got nothing but cheese whiz through his veins. Rocket,
dude.
Rocket,
Lathorsky.
Yeah.
Rocket recruits him in, saying that they have beer on the ship. They bring him in. Black Widow gets Ronan now, who is Hawkeye, because he lost his family, he lost everything, and he's trying to find the justice of Thanos let these bad people live who kill people, but my family died, so they get him. And he, pretty much the same way that Hawkeye saved Black Widow from time past, Black Widow saves Hawkeye. And they bring them all to the Avengers compound. When they're about to test with the new dope red suits, red and white suits, of how to do it, they say that Pym particles is the key. And Ant-Man is afraid to do it. Hawkeye volunteers. He time travels to the moment, to a
Because
moment.
they only have two tests. Scratch that. They have one test.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dry runs. And Hawkeye volunteers to go. He sees that his family's. He goes to a time where his family's alive. He said it works. So now they have to figure out, like, cool, we know the what. Now we have to figure out the when. And so they
He
have
brings back the glove, so you can take things back with you.
and they have to figure out when have they interacted with these Infinity Stones. Lebowski Thor comes in and explains a really sad story about his mom, foreshadow. Talks about the ether, talks about
Space
Jane.
magic.
And they all finally figure out that if they work correctly, there's one moment where, or 1 year, that there are 3 Infinity Stones in one city, the Battle of New York, Avengers won.
Yep.
And they talk about Morag, they talk about Vormir, where the Soul Stone is, and Morag, where the Power Stone is. And then they figure out their plan. They go, they strike up in
Asgard.
3 teams, and then they travel. And then when they travel, they end up, and we see the fucking splash cover page of the Avengers, but it has a completely different context.
Yep.
And we see the team is with Cap, Iron Man, Tony, Ant-Man, and Cap in New York.
Hulk.
And then Hawkeye and Black Widow go to Vormir, and then War Machine and Nebula go to Morag to stop Quill from getting the Power Stone.
From the first Guardians.
Time traveling ensues.
Time paradox ensues.
Things go
Time waste.
awry. We actually find out that Nebula
That's it.
shares a mental network with the past Nebula. They do a lot of talking about like how time travel actually works. They do a lot of good mentions of Terminator, Back to the Future, Die Hard.
But since
Doesn't
she's
have time.
in the time, she's
That
connected to
they
the same
connect
network.
the same thing. So now past Thanos is now is a villain. So old Thanos died in Act 1. Now we got to see Thanos come in by Act 3. And Thanos then tracks down. It's like, hey, look, these people, like, destiny happened. Destiny was fulfilled. And I'm now going to get these Infinity Stones when they're all going to catch it for me, which is typical bad guy plot. It's like, you're going to do all the hard work for me, which is really cool.
Yep.
And Nebula and old Nebula switch. So Nebula, that's still under Thanos' influence, takes the
captured.
place. And Hawkeye and Black Widow fight to see who's going to sacrifice themselves for the Soul Stone, and Black Widow wins.
Yeah.
They come back to present day, 5 years after the snap, and they grieve over Black Widow's death.
Yeah.
And through this time, they make a new gauntlet with the Infinity Stones, and Nebula brings Thanos from the past to the present time.
Hulk uses the gauntlet.
Hulk uses the gauntlet because in the Avengers 1, they said the Tesseract gives off gamma radiation. So he's like, I'm like meant for this. But he says it with his little tiny mouth. Because that's how he
He's
performs
sad.
it.
Yeah.
And
Hulk's sad.
he snaps. It takes everything in his ability to snap. So when you see Thanos
It
get
wrecks
it,
him.
with the
Hardcore.
first time. It's like it means a lot that his body could withstand the power.
Yeah.
But Hulk can't even keep it on. So he snaps, and then we hear birds, and then we see Velma from
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo call Hawkeye, and
Ant-Man's looking at the birds.
and all of a sudden, when Banner, or Professor, who's like looking up at the skyline, who's like trying to come to, looks and sees hellfires being rained upon through Thanos' ship. And the
Nebula
entire-
had
Nebula had
opened a portal. Bad Nebula had opened a portal.
brought Thanos back.
Yeah.
And leveled the Avengers compound. The Avengers compound is wrecked. We have Rocket, we have Professor, and we have War Machine out of the game.
Flooded.
And
About to
Hawkeye
drown.
sees the damaged gauntlet and then has to fight, the Thanos
Hounds.
creatures in a
Chitauri
really cool
hounds,
way,
right?
very
That
alien
sounds right.
style. Yeah. And then we have Fat Thor or
Thick Thor.
Thick Thor.
Thick Thor.
Lebowski and
Big
Iron Man
Leforsky.
and Cap
Thorkley.
looking at Thanos, who's just waiting because he sent Nebula to go get the gauntlet. And then a dope ass fight happens. Nebula, from our present time,
Convinces Gamora.
convinces Gamora to help
Stop
them
him.
out. And Gamora's always been more of the side of anti-Thanos.
Yeah.
And they prevent Hawkeye from getting killed from past Nebula. I know time travel, right?
Fair.
Time travel, right?
So after this fight happens, we see fucking Cap hold Mjolnir, which is dope. We see, Thor hold two hammers, which is dope. And Thanos wipes the floor with all of them. And then right when, the shield gets broken, we see that one scene where Cap tightens his
it.
strap, and you see him against the thousands of
against-
army of Thanos. It's a beautiful shot. Then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you say, Cap, you read me? Cap, you read me? On your left. And then all of
Portals
the
ensue.
portals happen with Doctor Strange. And I like this term. Imagine you went to your friend's house with all your toys, and they brought out all their toys, and those toys played.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what
Yep.
happened. And the best fight
Everything.
ever. Everyone had a
Every
moment to
single
fight.
character.
Every living MCU character.
Until when Thanos says rain hellfire on everyone's like, but what about our troops? Starts destroying and decimating everybody. And then all of a sudden the systems of Thanos' ship start shooting something in the distance. Q and Captain Marvel coming in for the
Something's entering
save.
the atmosphere.
Destroys everything. Girls have a really dope moment.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah, that was fucking
Thanos
forced.
gets the gauntlet.
Amazing.
Thanos gets the gauntlet and it's about to snap. The moment his fingers leave his hand before he can make an actual clap sound, Captain Marvel catches his hands and is about to break his fingers backwards. He
I was like,
grabs one of the
"Come on."
power stones and then punches her. She goes flying. So we're like, we're done. And before this point, Iron Man went to Doctor Strange and said, hey, this is the one chance out of 14
Is
million,
this it?
right? And he says, if I tell you what happens, it won't happen. And when Doctor Strange is trying to hold this tsunami back, he looks at Iron Man, and Iron Man knows, like, oh my God. And then he says he has one finger pointed out.
Just one.
And the focus leaves Doctor Strange's face to the one finger.
Yeah.
And then Iron Man knows what he has to do. So he goes in, tries
Grabs
to
the
just tackle him
gauntlet.
out. He uses his nanotechnology from his Mark 85 suit to make a gauntlet out of
Well,
his suit.
what happens is he goes and grabs the gauntlet from Thanos, and Thanos just brushes him off, and he says, "I am
He,
in
He like
Inevitable.
struggling with it for a while.
And
and
then
he snaps, and nothing happens.
we
Nothing
see
happens.
nothing. We see the impotent snap, and then we see all the
Gems are
stones
gone.
are gone, and then we cut back to Iron Man, and then the
nanotech.
stones are moving into place
place.
where Iron Man's hand is the new gauntlet,
and he
he
says,
says
and
he
I-
had said I am inevitable.
and he says, "And I am Iron Man," and then he snaps,
No.
and then it's a white flash, and then giant things are crashing down, just
Chitauri
dusting
are,
away.
are dusting away.
And then
Just
finally,
dusting.
Thanos sits down like he did in Infinity War, and then dusts away.
Mhm.
And then everyone's
Defeated.
like, everyone's great, everything's fine. Everyone looks back at Tony Stark, and he is just radiated,
not
burned.
doing great.
He's not even responsive.
Yeah.
He
Catatonic.
he
as
puts
some
him.
might
He
say.
sits up one more time. Peter comes in and it's like, "Hey, Mr. Stark, we did it." Rhodey gives him one good look, and he says, "Hey," you could just tell in his face like we had
Yeah.
the good fight. And then Pepper says, "You can rest now, Tony.
We're gonna be okay.
we're
You
gonna
can
be okay.
rest
You
now."
can rest
Oh.
and credits Mr. Stark. And then we get this funeral sequence. We get a moment between Happy and Morgan because Happy started this whole thing. Oh, John Favreau started this whole thing.
And
And then
cheeseburgers.
We get the last person that we pan through the entire funeral is Nick Fury.
Yep.
And that's not all, folks. Later on, we go
They have
and
to put
see.
the stones back.
Well, they see Thor join the Asgard, the Guardians of the Galaxy,
He
because
calls
he
them
gives,
the Asgardians of the galaxy.
he gives New Asgard to Valkyrie and calls her the queen or king.
Mhm.
And then we go back to Professor as well as Bucky and Sam and sending Cap to go send all the stones back because that's the way you
to
can't
their real
make,
timelines.
timeline branches. and he sends Mjolnir with them too, and then he goes, and it happens in 5 seconds, but he doesn't return. And then Bucky notices across the way, nearby the lake, sitting on a bench, a man. And then it says Bucky and Sam walk, and Bucky points over to the old man and says, "Hey, go." And Sam goes
AKA
over and
Falcon.
sees that it's an aged Captain America, Steve Rogers, who lived his life. He says, "Did something good happen or something bad happen?" He's like, "That thing that Tony always told me to do, live life. I'm going to go do that." And it was beautiful.
Did some of that. Yeah.
And then he's like, "That reminds me." He pulls out his Captain America shoe. He's like, "Try it on." He's like, "How does it feel?" Feels like it belongs to someone else. Well, it doesn't. And so he looks back at Bucky. Bucky gives him the approval. And now Sam is the new
And
Captain
he goes
Falcon.
to shake his hand. He's got the wedding
Wedding
ring.
ring.
You want to tell me about her? No.
Captain
No,
Falcon.
I
It's
don't.
Captain America.
You said Captain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Falcon Punch.
Captain Falcon. And then we get a cut to the 1950s, 40s, 60s, wherever Peggy was. When they time travel to the 70s, but whatever.
Yeah.
And he finally gets his first dance with Peggy.
Yeah.
And they kiss, and then it ends credits.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautifully.
Well done. That was like 30 seconds.
Like 10 seconds. Yeah. So a lot to go.
A lot happened.
Let's go
going
straight
on.
to the production
Covers.
so we talk about the good parts.
Yeah. Production. So distributed by Disney / Marvel
/ Fox.
/ Infinity Gauntlet of Studios. Directors are Joe and Anthony Russo. They did Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War. The producers, Kevin Feige, the MCU.
That's all
That's
I
how
knew.
you know him.
Yeah.
Screenplay is Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Characters created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. The cast. Woo!
Everybody.
Okay, hold on.
Everybody.
Can I just
Oh,
say
We gotta
everyone?
put the first person just because they messed up the poster
Yeah.
first.
We're going to start with Denai Guerrera.
Denai Guerrera. Guerrera.
Because she deserved to be on that poster the whole
Yeah,
time.
she
Yeah.
did.
Whole time.
Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Brie Larson, Josh Brolin, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Karen Gillan, Mark Ruffalo, Paul Rudd, Don Cheadle, Bradley Cooper,
Zoe
etc.
Saldana,
John
Chris
Favreau,
Pratt.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, it goes on
Yeah.
and on, guys.
Forever.
Evangeline Lilly.
Just name someone from an MCU movie. Yep.
Everybody.
They're in it.
Yeah, there they
Everybody.
are.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Quicksilver, he's dead. He's dead.
The runtime, 181 minutes.
That's a fair few.
yeah.
Could have been longer.
Yeah.
Could
to
have
be
been.
honest.
Released April 26th, 2019. The budget was $356 million.
Oh my god.
Chump change.
Chump change.
What did it make so far?
First weekend, $1.2 billion.
Oh my god.
Billion dollars.
Everyone at home, we're recording this on a Sunday,
That's
so the
insane.
weekend's not over yet.
It's
Yeah,
not even over
It's
yet.
not even
Still
over.
not
yet.
That was
just-
as of
That was
this
just
morning.
Sunday, like update number one.
And also, we were talking about the fact that like they're showing 24/7 right now, so you can imagine that this number is
That's not even
teeny.
correct
It's
anymore.
teeny.
broken.
It's not,
That's what I'm gonna
it's-
say.
It's
It's
broken
probably-
every single box office record possible.
Yeah.
There's probably
Yeah.
also international markets that haven't reported yet.
Yeah.
right.
So the current Rotten Tomatoes is 96% with
Critics.
audience, and that's critics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But audience is 92%.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of movie in this movie.
A lot of movie.
And in that, before we get to our favorite parts,
Yeah.
we could talk a little bit about Easter eggs
Yes.
specifically.
Corey.
Do that.
We have a
I'm
little bit of a list, but if we don't go through them, that's fine. These are just some of the most important ones that we find are notable.
Yeah.
My favorite one is possibly the first line. That's where Hawkeye is teaching his daughter the bullseye. And he says, "This is where you want to go. Now you got to figure out how you're going to get there."
Yeah.
In reference to the films of, we want to get to Infinity War. Now you got to figure out how you're going to get there.
I love that.
And it's what a way to open a movie with
Yeah.
the end of everything. like with the world ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That
think
was-
they
that was
needed that up front.
Bold. Yeah.
Any other?
Jarvis.
Oh,
Jarvis
from
being the
TV?
driver. Like
Jarvis
if you
was
read
Oh,
the
yeah.
comics, you know he's the butler at the Avengers.
That's
mansion.
the actor from the TV show.
From
Oh,
Shield.
is it?
Yeah,
From,
Nice.
It's not. That's why it's not Paul Bettany.
But for me, it's for someone who doesn't watch the TV shows and stuff like that. Seeing him and calling him Jarvis in the movie, I was like, ugh.
Well, who he's looking for when he finds Tony Stark? Arnim Zola.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
He's looking for the mad scientist.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
That's right.
That's sorry. The dad, who the dad's
Yeah.
looking for. I was
Although
like,
it's
Jarvis is
interesting.
looking for someone.
Because
That's
he
what I
is
was
from
thinking
Agent
too.
Carter, it's weird to see that
The-
Jarvis with this Howard
Yeah.
Stark as opposed to the other actor.
versus Dominic Cooper.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he plays it in the show, so it's interesting
Yeah.
that they.
Because
it's good
that's
that they at
the
least brought
40s
it.
and now this is the 70s. So
Right,
he's
so they
supposed to be
stretch
the
it a little
next
bit.
step in the dad
Makes sense.
section.
The
Makes sense.
Cap getting the hammer Mjolnir
Oh
was
my
like kind of
God.
a like since which movie
Age
was
of
it?
Ultron.
Age of Ultron when they're like all testing it
Moved a
and
little
he gets
bit.
it gets a little bit, but this was like it answered that age-old question of like,
Is he worthy?
Is he worthy?
And
yes.
The first time he actually held it, wielded it, and said Avengers Assemble is in Fear Itself, which is actually a pretty recent event that happened in comic books.
It was also teased in Age of Ultron,
That's
right?
what Josh just said.
Yep.
Good.
We're all listening today is what we're trying to say.
Hail Hydra, the moment that we
Yeah.
saw
Oh
that
my
from
God.
Winter Soldier moment that
Wait, are
we
we doing
thought,
favorite parts or Easter eggs?
These
I'm
are
so
Easter
confused. Okay.
because this was like an Easter
It's a
egg
little
where
column
it's
A,
like,
little column B.
I know. I was
you
like,
think they're going to reference?
these are all parts I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about them.
You think they're going to reference Winter Soldier, but instead they say Hail Hydra, which is from the Secret Empire invasion when Captain America becomes a Hydra agent. And then again, when Tony Stark comes back and says, we're going to lose together, isn't that what you said? It's verbatim the speech that he gave in Age of Ultron, like a shield or a suit of armor around the Earth.
The reference to A-Force.
Go ahead.
At one point, there's a shot during the end battle of every single like female Marvel character, and they're all kind of like conveniently together, ascending down to help Peter Parker get across the compound. And that's a nod to the A-Force, which is a comic run or series. I don't know if it's ongoing still.
It's a run.
It's a run that features like most of the female
In
characters.
Avengers 1, when we get our first moment where all the superheroes meet, or most of the superheroes meet, we get Thor, Cap, and Iron Man fighting in the woods. And then in the third act, we get Thor, Cap, and Iron Man fighting against Thanos.
Yeah.
And then we also get
The Holy Trinity.
Thanos or Thor shoots Iron Man with lightning and says, "Oh, would you look at that? 400%."
Yep. Finally pays off again.
But he shoots
me.
Iron Man. Yeah.
Nice little reference to Captain America 1 with "Don't do anything stupid while I'm gone." How can I? You're taking all the stupid with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was nice. There's a lot of full circle moments like that.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
The Mark 85 suit that Iron Man wears is a nod to his Model 2.
That's right.
In the comics, they call him Model, not Mark. With the way he falls in the War on New York is the same way he falls in the Avengers 1, where he puts the new suit on.
Yeah.
Rhodey and Danvers having a connection, calling back to the Kelly Sue DeConnick films.
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
The
comic
Pepper
books.
Pot suit from 3.
Yep. And then we finally get scales on Captain America's suit. So much like the comic books, finally.
Yeah.
Tons more.
Tons more.
Tons more.
Professor
Right.
Hulk.
All of the Easter eggs are like payoff.
Chris Pratt.
You paid attention. Here you go.
Chris Pratt singing with his
Yeah.
headphones on. Yeah. But like totally off key and shit. I loved that.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that happened from the comic books, but also from the past movies. But we'll probably talk a little bit more about it in our favorite parts.
Favorite part.
So let's try to not make this bloody.
We'll just go one at a time. Who wants to start us off?
I will.
All right.
Tom's like, how does
Because
this
I
all the
know
words?
for a fact this is going to be taken. Cap, grabbing Mjolnir.
Oh,
Cap,
yep.
grabbing Mjolnir. Because right when Thanos is about to stab Thor, and all of a sudden,
It
thunk,
shakes.
and you're like, who can
could that
grab
be?
Mjolnir? And I was like, it has to be my boy. And
And Thor says,
I always knew it.
Yep.
And I was just the thing that Cap and the way that Russos have taken care of Cap of the way his fight scenes are. It's like now he's got God abilities. This is dope.
throwing
And,
the shield and then
like,
throwing the hammer
it-
at the shield.
The
to
move
bounce
where
it.
he like slaps Thanos away and then calls upon thunder
Yeah,
and
he
then
can
brings
control
it
the
down
thunder just as
is
much. that
literally
it's
what
like,
Nightmare does in Soul Calibur. And I was like, that's a finishing move.
Yeah.
That's a finishing move. That's done. That's fatality.
It's the extra thunder strike at the end.
It's so good. Yeah. So that's that's like my favorite part.
yeah.
For me, one of my favorite parts was the entire arcing scene between Tony and his dad. I think it was a really beautiful scene, talking about how, I always used to think my dad was hard on me, but now that I'm a dad, like, I get it. He wasn't. He was just looking out for me, that kind of thing.
One of the
Hugging
best
him and being
parts.
like, "Thank you for everything you've done for our country," was pretty fantastic.
Weird beard.
And it's just like that. Man, that's like this big story that I've been waiting for Iron Man. It's like his missing his parents.
Yeah.
Like they fed on that a lot. That and the protecting everyone. Like both of those get closure, and the way they did it for that was just like really beautiful.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts is actually kind of it's from the moment you hear, "Hey Cap, on your left," to Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
Like
the portal.
Damn it.
the
That's
portals.
It's
That's
a giant
yeah.
splash scene.
It's what was amazing to me was it was the theater was like, oh no, and then when that started happening, the whole theater just
Yeah.
starts going insane. And I actually started crying when he said Avengers Assemble, because you saw like everybody behind him and you're like,
Yeah.
Wasn't the first time I
Oh
cried
my
in this
God.
movie. Wasn't the last.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they did such a good job of of making you really feel like the desperation that like they've lost
That
again.
shot.
The shot of
Oh.
Captain over the ridge, like looking at forces.
Well, you literally
broken
you
shield.
contrast
Yeah.
the most bleak scenario to the most hope-filled scenario.
When
Yeah.
Peter came out, that's really when the audience lost it.
Yeah.
When Peter swung
when Peter,
through the
that's what I experienced too. Yeah.
they were all cheering before that, but as soon as he swung out, everyone was like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
there he is!"
Kaylin?
Oh my
For
God.
me, let's see. Battle New York time heist. Like for me, the time heist,
So cool.
which I would call the second act.
Yeah, definitely second.
Getting to see the little moments and stuff.
But for me, the joy and the giddiness that I felt when I saw the title screen of New York 2012
Yeah.
on the thing, I was
saw
just like,
the Chitauri and saw
this is happening.
The spiraling shot.
this
They-
is happening.
they put
They
that
showed
back
the
in.
exact same spiraling shot, and then like it's funny because even in Avengers 1 it cuts to an overhead shot, but in this one it also cuts to an overhead shot, but then we pan over and see where they pop
Yep.
in,
Yeah.
and like catching them at the end of the battle, like resuming after
Yeah.
the events of Avengers that we missed.
Like Loki turning into Captain America.
Yeah,
and
like them.
mocking
Well,
him
even
and-
like just
You
them
can pose all
like
day.
coming into like cleanup and like Shield coming in and
Those guys look like bad guys.
coordinating ground and
my favorite moment from the 2012 time heist one was when Thor used his hammer as a defibrillator. And he's like, I didn't know it would work.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah, it was cool. I
it
didn't know
was
it would work.
interesting to see the more comedic
Thor
like
back then.
Back then,
Yeah.
so that was interesting.
As if it happened off screen.
right.
Yeah.
The thing I like about the whole time heist specific thing is that in every Avengers movie, it's been very like reactionary. Everything just happens and they have to solve the problem.
Right.
This is like
that was Tony's line. We're the Avengers, right? Not the
Not the
Prevengers.
Prevengers.
Yeah.
And so like this is the first time they're like, we have to plan to do this.
Yeah.
And it kind of had that Ant-Man feel to it.
Yeah.
So like it felt very like
Time heist.
cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
Kaylin?
Oh geez, oh boy.
Oh, geez, oh boy.
The movie. I know that's
That
not
was
specific
my
at
also
all.
favorite part.
I think I think Thor getting the beer gut was
Fat Thor.
thick Thor. Thick Thor. What was it?
Lebowski?
Lethorsky.
The big Lethorsky.
The big
Someone says it.
Lethorsky.
Someone
Yeah.
says,
No.
calls him Lebowski.
Lebowski.
Iron Man says like, watch out, move out of the way, Lebowski.
Yep.
Hey, Ratchet, it's Rocket.
But in I am hesitant to say this, but ruining Thor in a way made him better.
Well, it's kind of like
I
he's
would-
still
I would
him.
say they ruined him, but I would say they it's the right thing in his arc.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's the continuation of his story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was like a bold choice to like keep him
that way,
that-
especially when you got
Yes.
the thunder.
Oh,
and
I
you
thought
got
I
two
actually
swords.
did think that like towards like when they were about to face Thor that like
Thanos.
he would
He could
Oh,
be
yeah,
back to
Thanos,
being
that
ripped.
he would
and-
like
yeah.
do his thing that he always does to put a suit on and then he would just be ripped again. But I'm glad that they didn't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's more of what I mean. Is
Yeah.
that like they didn't ruin him as in like, oh, he's nothing of what he was, but
but he's not the sex symbol.
he's not the
Yeah.
sex symbol, thunder god. Like he doesn't have
Yeah.
to be that big, strong, perfect dude anymore.
To add to that, what I really like, and something that the Game of Thrones creators talk about a lot, it's like take Thor, for example, and then take away everything that matters the most to him, but don't kill him, right? But don't ruin him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like you take away his hammer, you take away his family, and then you take away his looks. And then you take away his pride and you take away his ego.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like all you have is this like he's a damaged human being or God at this point that's filled with cheese
God
whiz.
being.
And
Well, I like what Corey had just said. It's like the perfect part of his
Storyline, his
storyline
arc.
because like when we first met him, he was so
Arrogant.
prideful,
Hubris.
His
arrogant,
hubris.
and he's gone through this roller coaster, and this is like the ultimate rock bottom.
well, now he's where Tony Stark starts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
accurate.
Rock bottom.
Other favorite part?
Thor holding two weapons.
Yeah.
Thor calling both of them. Like the moment he called Mjolnir and he starts crying because he's like, I'm still worthy. It was like a huge, like Thor became my favorite Avenger throughout the films. And so his whole thing with his mom and his journey, like not to get too personal here, but I just lost a family member of mine and seeing him go back and being able to talk to her and like
Yeah.
knowing what he's feeling of that, like, you're not the Thor I know. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm telling you. And she goes, I'm raised by witches, I know. And he's like, I'm totally from the future. Like, it's me. Like, Mom, I love you. So, like, for me, that impacted me very strongly. And so that moment of him getting that talk with his mom, calling Mjolnir and, like, being like, I'm still worthy was,
Well,
like, a huge moment.
And that happens right after, his mother calls him a complete failure. And it's like, you're not supposed to be the
Which
person
means
you're
you're
meant
just
to be.
like
You're
us.
supposed to be the person you are.
yeah,
And that's and it's like, why is Thor getting all this development outside of his movies?
yeah.
It's like Jesus, but it's good. I like that a lot.
I like that a lot. There's a few scenes to when Tony is figuring out time travel, and he just like
Mobius strip.
he
Falls back.
he falls
Falls
back,
back.
and
Got
then
it.
his daughter is like shit, and he's like, no, that's a mommy word and all that kind of stuff.
She's
and
like, well, why are you awake? Well, I had a lot of shit on my mind. I was doing stuff.
So it was that, and then it was into talking to Pepper, and he was like, I could just go to bed and all that kind of
Put
stuff.
it in a
And when
box, throw it in the lake.
yeah, and
go to
she
bed,
was like,
rest.
but could you rest? And that's why at the end, when she was like,
rest.
it's okay to rest, like hit me in the
Well, not only
heart.
just because of that scene, but like that's been his arc since the first Avengers. Is
Yeah,
he can't
because
rest
Iron
easy
Man 3.
yeah.
because he wants to protect everyone.
Yeah.
He has
Yeah,
PTSD.
Plays off of
everybody.
that PTSD. Yeah.
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 And I really like that because of, to me, this film does really well of making the films that, like, the majority of the audience is a very like amoeba like word. It's like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but like Iron Man 3 is seen like as one of the not good ones. Thor Dark World's not seen one of the good ones. Age of Ultron not seen, but they're so important. They play so much like service to those films that it's like, bitch, you're gonna fucking watch that movie or you're gonna appreciate what they try to do for it. One other favorite scene is favorite scene that I had is I Am Iron Man.
Yeah.
The way
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah. I
was
the
gonna bring that
franchise starts is the way that
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
ends.
yeah.
This era ends, and it's I am inevitable. Like death is inevitable. Like impermanence. The only thing permanent is impermanence, and it's like I am Iron Man. Like that's the
Yeah.
one. It's like to me, there's all these I am Groot and all that stuff, but it's like he made that moment, I am Iron Man, as good, but better than most people who have ever said I am Batman.
Mhm.
No, yeah.
Well,
I am Steve Rogers.
The important thing was how impactful that sentence was at the end of Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
And like that to you immediately made you understand and appreciate the tone of where these films are going with that one line. And
Respect it.
man, when it cut to him like kneeling down or whatever he was, and then you just see the stones go into place,
Right.
my heart like sank, and I was just like, what is about, like, he's gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew what that meant
Yeah.
already.
I mean, I knew he was gonna die for
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
before the movie started. I was
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
gotta take out Cap and they
Well,
gotta take
I
out
was
Iron Man.
convinced that it was going to be Cap dying and Iron Man surviving because I was convinced that their storylines would call for that. But now, having seen
I
it
was the
actually
same
happen,
way, but like, yeah.
it's even better, which is kind of like also a summary of the whole film, which is like your expectations are constantly exceeded and your mind's constantly blown because Cap needs to be alive for one of my other favorite parts, which is the dance at the very end.
Yeah.
God, no, God, no, I was gonna do that one.
Well,
No, go.
No,
That's
that's
fine.
for everyone.
Well,
it's not
okay,
just
it
actually,
away.
no. Yours is more the dance, correct?
Yeah.
The dance at the end.
but the office,
Mine,
the office where he sees Peggy.
no.
Oh.
The moment where
the handoff.
the ring, when he sees
Oh.
the ring and he's like, "Are you gonna tell me about her?" And he goes, "I don't think I will." That was one of my
It's for
favorite
him.
parts because then, like going back through all the films, you realize how long he had to keep that secret and how long she had to keep that secret too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that just carried
don't
so
know.
much beautiful
we don't
weight.
know.
And I'm
We
like,
don't,
I,
we
and
don't,
I'm
we don't, we
waiting
don't.
to see that. And I'm like, I want to see how that unfolds because it's like now there could be so much because the rules are broken.
Yeah,
Completely.
the rules are
For
broken.
me,
Like
it-
we're in a branch universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was the moment right before that, the
Really?
handoff
With
of
the
the
shield?
mantle. Like the three specific lines crushed me. How does it feel?
Like it doesn't belong to me.
Like it belongs to someone else? Well, it doesn't. Or you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
belong to me. Well, it does. Or no, it's like it belongs to someone else. Well, it doesn't. Like that, in a very good way, crushed me because I was like, that's perfect.
because it means so much for Sam.
And it's
Yeah.
like, and I was rooting for Falcon to be. I know there was
Fuck
up
yeah.
in the air of Bucky
No,
or
fuck
Falcon,
Bucky.
but not fuck Bucky.
Some people
I
want to fuck
I
him.
think Falcon's the perfect candidate for
Yeah.
it because Bucky has more story to tell.
Yeah.
First, he's got more baggage he needs to deal with before he can pick up a mantle.
Well, I would,
like
Yeah.
I
Captain
would love
America.
to see like them two working together, and it's very much like tell me how Cap was before,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I can tell you how Cap was after.
Yeah.
But I hate to do this, but I want to go back to the Iron Man snap thing mainly
Yeah.
because
No, that's fine.
I love.
It's kind of a big moment.
Well, I
so-
love the and I told this to Corey the other night, and I was just saying like everyone in the entire universe has one person to thank, and it wasn't a god, it wasn't a monster, and it wasn't a soldier, it was a man.
Mhm.
And the Russos, the way, and as well Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the way they wrote this out, and Kevin Feige, like Iron Man starts this whole thing, and it's just a man in a suit, and
Box
then
of scraps.
how do you get that to
in a cave. It was a man in a cave with a suit.
Yeah, and how you get that to space, to time, and all that stuff, and get him back. And like the thing about Cap is that he is a man out of time, and you could have done it with him doing the snap thing and all that stuff. But it's like Iron Man is the one with the faults. He's the one that's wrong. He's the one that has everything to lose. You know, he had the family, he had the second chance, and he said, "My number one thing is like bring back the people we can, keep the things that I have, and hopefully not die."
Yeah.
And all the things happen except he dies, and it's like
that was
it's
the last on his list, though.
Yeah, it was very poetic that the entire cosmos has one person thing, and it's a Terran who, in Captain Marvel, we saw has zero imminent danger.
Yeah,
you know?
No danger.
And I was just like, yeah, this is to me, this is the Iron Man story.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as poetic, but I almost thought when he was saying I thought he was going to say pissed off. I was like, okay.
Fair.
Another one of my favorite parts is I actually really liked the Tokyo scene.
Oh, with Ronan?
The camera work for it, following him through the building, and then like just the extreme angles on that. I really dug it, and it made me really appreciate like the Russo brothers from a directorial standpoint.
Oh yeah,
because you know this is a lot to undertake, and a lot of times like if they want to bring their own signature like style to it, it can sometimes need to take a back seat because of how incredibly gigantic these movies are and what they need what they have to accomplish. But I'm glad that they're able to still give it to show off what they're able to do as directors. So and I'm super excited to see like what else they do after this from that. But that Tokyo scene was pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I agree. I also really enjoyed Scott meeting with his daughter 5 years later.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
Older Cassie.
I wish we got a little more of that.
Paul Rudd playing that scene.
Oh yeah,
man.
Yeah,
kudos.
You're so big. Like oh.
Yeah. I really liked Hawkeye a lot.
Yeah,
in this film,
Ronan.
I liked. He's like, why don't you go? You know, use your axe and go fly up to go to the red guy.
You go talk to him.
But also when he has to protect the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's like this very creepy, scary thing where it's like
running through tunnels.
He has
like,
no chance, but he's gonna fucking make a way to get to that. You know, get to them.
The sigh
really
he has
cool.
when he finds out there's no more coming.
Yeah.
He cuts that last one in half when
it's
he
like
jumps
getting ready
out.
to fight whatever
He's
else.
But he handles it for a normal dude.
Nebula shows up.
Oh, it's but also Cap versus Cap.
Cap versus Cap. That is America's ass.
Oh,
But
America's
also,
ass.
he's just like, I got the scepter. Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
And then he's like, I could do this all day.
I know.
I love the
And he calls
in
him
the
Loki.
lobby. Oh yeah, he's like because they're looking for Loki, so it was like perfect way to not have to complicate it and just have their fight. But I love like the alternate reality stuff that happened down in the lobby with like Ant-Man causing the cardiac arrest, and then the
defib with the hammer,
kicking the space stone over there. Loki seeing it, picking it up,
and then taking it,
stepping backwards,
piecing out.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, when that happened, I like audibly gasped, and I was like, "Oh my god, what does this mean? Where did he go?"
They
Loki.
ruined the time.
Now you're excited for Disney Plus.
What is
Go on.
Tilda Swinton? Is she
Ancient One?
Her realization after
he says Doctor Strange gave up the stone willingly,
and for a second, so I saw this twice.
Yeah,
the first time through, a lot of questions. Second time, answered a lot of those questions, but one of them I was like, why would she not know that? But she died.
Yeah,
because remember
she
was like, well, you're about 5 years too late,
she only
or
knows
too
what
early.
she's alive for.
Yeah, and so it was like, oh,
it's actually how
so her realization. I was like, that I just really liked watching that. That I was like, oh, that's really neat.
It's
that
actually
really
how
well delivered.
Dr. Manhattan perceives time. He could see past and future, but only his past and future.
Oh wow.
So
and she instantly knew as soon as she found that out that this was
she
on
opened
purpose.
the eye and was like, here you go.
Yeah,
just bring it back.
Yeah,
please.
But I loved seeing that they kind of like kind of inserted them into the Battle of New York. Like she was helping like destroy.
She was just shooting Chitauri.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
So it was cool, and it's like
I love the intermingling of all the stuff, of all the timelines that we've seen, that we've come into, and we're like, the only one that was kind of a new fun experience for us was 1970, of like seeing when those two things are together, and you're like, oh, that's
Young
really
Hank
neat.
Pym.
Yeah, and it's like,
Cap's call to him was great. Hey, they're all sick. There's like a glowing thing, and everyone's not feeling great. Did they open it? Yeah, we opened it.
Oh my
Just
god!
starts sprinting out of there. It was great.
I really love Thanos headbutting Carol Danvers.
And nothing happened.
It's a wrestling term. No sell.
Yeah.
No sell at
Just
all.
bam. I was like, ooh.
but it was like a tonk.
And
like,
she would have had him. The only thing
That
Power Stone.
was the Power Stone. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. Infinity Stone. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Which is great. Which is really great.
But no, they had arm wrestle. She
I mean, we can
wipe the floor.
Yeah.
later on kind of speculation because we said we were going to
Yeah.
talk about. I'd love to talk a little bit about Captain Marvel later
Sure.
on.
Thor
for
and
sure.
another favorite part of mine because I'm a Thor dude, but Thor and Cap switching when he's like, "Give me that one.
Yeah.
You can have the
Well,
small
You,
one."
you take the small
It's a
one.
repeat of the attack on New
Yeah,
York.
when he catches the shield and the hammer. But I just love that. I want this one.
Well, I love that. What did Thanos call it? Raining fire or something like
Right?
that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that was happening. And that was to destroy all these Avengers. But then they divert the cannons up, and it's like, okay, what is more dangerous than this entire group of Avengers? Captain Marvel coming from
And
the
destroy
Something
the
just
stratosphere.
entered our
Something entered our, Friday says something entered our atmosphere. Just right through it.
The part that
So
made
beautiful.
me audibly cheer
Like butter.
right before that is
Yeah.
when all of the sorcerers,
Oh,
do the
yeah,
shields.
Protect.
They all protect. Like Wong opens the first one, and then all the other. You just zoom out to the battlefield and see like 6 more pop up. These
'Cause Wong's a
giant
G.
shields, and I
Giant
was like,
shields.
"That's fucking dope."
Yes.
Why aren't we using them more?
I know. The interesting thing that I found out through this, and it took me a while to get to it, is that, and he's on my list, is I love every single time Doctor Strange is on screen now.
Yeah.
Like I want him like a lot in more movies.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because to me,
Doctor Strange
Doctor
too.
Strange, the movie, like the first movie, I wasn't the biggest fan of because of the way the origin
Yes.
story happened. But now that we
100%.
have our Doctor Strange,
You have to kind of look at it. Not that you should, but you kind of have to look at it as just like, here's the groundwork,
yeah.
and now let's put him in other movies
Well,
so we don't have to explain any shit.
And he's
have
a
fun.
badass in every single
Thor
time.
Ragnarok. He's great.
Yeah.
I want to say it like this again. Same thing I feel about Spider-Man. In every movie that they're in, they're great except their own movie.
Same with Thor.
And I'm just like,
Except for
why
Ragnarok was-
is that
Why
an
is
issue?
it complicated?
Why is that an issue? But it's whatever.
I think
love
it's just
the-
because they play so well off of each other that we just want that excellence, and then when they're separated, we kind of have to like accept it.
Well, also the way that it's written, it's like everyone gets their own really good zinger,
Yeah.
and it's in their character.
Yeah.
So
The Russos handle characters really well. Like individual
it,
characters.
it
and
almost
not-
makes you feel like, why didn't they do Phase 1?
If only.
Favreau did great.
Oh yeah, Favreau did great with Iron Man.
Yeah.
but he didn't direct all of them.
No.
yeah.
Any other favorite parts before we move on?
I mean,
Or-
this
I mean,
movie
we
is
can
filled
be
with
there
them, so
for-
Yes, there
I
are,
have-
but for the sake of Showtime,
I have one just because it really did. Actually, I didn't think that this would happen after, that I would tear up after the movie had ended, but it was during the credits with their signatures.
Yeah.
Like, because they went through all the all the other cast, but then when it got to like, I think it was just
The
the 6
original,
Avengers,
yeah.
right? So when the 6 came on and then they started signing it, I'm like, I got emotional, and I was like, they're signing their
Off.
work of art.
yeah,
They're signing their masterpiece.
yeah,
And it's like, you guys deserved it. This is these 6 people. This was their saga,
yeah,
and
and it ends with
they're passing it. I mean, a couple of them are going to show up here
RDJ.
and there, but yeah.
and
then
the,
of course
the very
the-
last little thing of like the tongue.
oh, that.
oh yeah,
Like, I'm pretty sure that's Iron Man building his
It is.
suit.
Yeah, just a
It
callback
is.
to him
I've
in the cave.
Seen a whole bunch of things that were like, no, it's this, it's this.
It's
no,
a
it doesn't
train.
sound like
Yeah.
that.
This
for
this
sure.
is not meant to tease something.
Yeah,
Like everything that's meant to tease happens in the movie.
it's like a bow. It's just like, there you go.
I
right.
mean,
It's just like a.
it's another poetic feeling of like Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige being like, it'd be really cool if we got to that, and then they got to it,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
is it, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's
He
a
had
real
his-
payoff moment.
yeah.
I also just want to say shout out to anytime Thanos was on screen.
Yeah,
was
he
pretty-
did, I mean, just the range that he has
I
in
can't
this
look away.
movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
What did he say? He was like, none of it, all my conquests, none of it's been personal,
But
but
I'm
I
gonna
will enjoy what I will do
tearing-
to this planet.
tearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So favorite characters. I'm gonna say it like this. Favorite characters are going to be Thor, Cap, Iron Man, Thanos.
Out of those 4 we have to pick,
That's my favorite character, and then the side characters are everyone else.
Oh my god.
Well, shouldn't the main characters be the original 6?
yeah,
I guess.
I'd say they're all main characters.
I
Like
mean, if you
Black
want to be
Widow's a main
technical,
character, Ronan's a main character,
Yeah.
Rocket's a main character in this.
I would say
Yeah.
like those like 24 posts or
Nebula.
36 posters they put out. I would say those are the main characters.
Oh boy.
maybe.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
30 people are main characters.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Well, I would
that's what
say
makes
in
this
this
decision
one,
harder.
it's everyone who's on the time heist.
let's go with that.
Okay.
That's good.
I
For
feel
this
like
film,
that's
not the MCU.
that's the main, and
Yeah.
including Thanos.
Including
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So who would like to go first?
Dude, me, it's Thor all day. For me, like, I don't want to misspeak here, and like, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man's arc was the most compelling
Yeah.
to me, but it's finished.
Mhm.
And to me, that was closure I needed. It was a big sigh of relief that I've been holding in for 11 years, or more so, the sigh of relief ever since the first Avengers of him being neurotic about like needing to protect everyone.
Yeah.
Cap's arc was the most beautiful thing. I'm happy with it. It's put to bed. But to me, Thor is still the most interesting. There's still more to tell.
Yeah.
I think
It can go anywhere.
this movie, like with Infinity War, the ending of Infinity War, is the true meat of his arc. I think up until then, he hadn't changed too much. He was still sure-footed. Like even in Infinity War, he's like, I'm never going to lose. He's like, well, you lost. He's like, well, I'm not going to lose twice. Like he didn't learn. And his own hubris, not going for the head, going for the chest so he could say something to Thanos, pretty much did cause, I mean, everyone lost, but that was a big part of it. Like he could have gone for the head. So for me, it's going to be Thor just because of the amount of change his character has gone through, especially in the last 3 movies that he's been in. That takes the cake for me. I'm excited to see where it goes.
And the side character.
Oh, I don't know yet. Too many.
How much thought into
side character? I'll come back to my side character, I guess, just for the sake of time.
Main character, Black Widow.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Just because.
Family.
I mean,
That's what she said. That's her main thing.
Yeah.
yeah, she just the way that things ended with her was her being completely okay with how things went and coming to terms with her life, basically.
Or trying to.
Trying
to. She
Trying
doesn't
to.
really.
Yeah.
Not really, but as best as she can and fighting so hard to not lose someone important to her.
Dare I say she had some of probably her best acting in her career in this.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also getting to see
Well,
her
in the MCU career. Lost in Translation is pretty.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
fair.
Yeah.
But no,
phenomenal.
there was a lot of you see her eating the peanut butter sandwich and talking to people
Yeah.
on the phone with her feet propped
She
up
gets
and
me.
and she gets business done and does what it takes.
Half my diet's peanut butter sandwiches.
That's fair.
Not peanut butter jelly.
And
Peanut butter.
side character?
Oh God.
It's tough, right?
Let's go
Loki
around.
because he's a shit.
Okay.
Okay.
Josh?
I love Thor, but I strangely for this one was really drawn to Rocket.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot about Rocket.
This is the best he was written, I think.
Yeah, and like just some of his moments of like he still had his wit, but he also had those moments of what
Come
did you do?
Yeah.
Like really like oh shit moments that
Yeah.
it was like he's a part of the team. Like he's not just the quick-witted trash panda. He is
Well, he lost his
He put
son.
together-
He lost, like, he's really,
And Antenna
he's
Girl.
been through it as well.
yeah.
He put
Like-
together because he flipped over the gauntlet. I think he knew immediately what that meant.
Yeah.
Because he is also a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side.
Shit, I don't know if she is Nebula a side.
No,
Okay,
she'd
and so,
be main.
so that was
I
the
would say
thing.
main.
I was like, I felt like Rocket and Nebula are kind of sides to me.
I mean,
Really?
Nebula's,
This movie, though.
Nebula's main,
So
main.
if
Like,
they
she's
were
the whole
main-
reason.
Yeah.
I guess
Thanos
let's just
does
make
everything.
it first and then runner up.
Okay.
Runner up would be Nebula. She's so extra, but she's so committed. And like, oh, we're gonna go here. It's a just her. It's a field of death, and like you're like, but she cares too. Like she's just so morose.
See, wasn't that fun? It was fun.
I was like, try again. You won, and she was like, I
was
won.
fun.
It was fun. Like it was. I really enjoyed her character in this
And
this
then-
movie as well.
Giving the food to Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she learns how to be human.
Yeah.
Little Beeb.
Mhm.
Ollie.
My favorite character in this is Professor Hulk.
And his dad outfit.
I was so
Posing with the kids.
pleasantly surprised with what they pulled off. Ruffalo's performance of it, I think they nailed it.
Dab.
Yeah.
It makes me really want to see more of the Professor Hulk, but just like him being so like heartwarming,
Giving
like,
the tacos.
giving the tacos to Scott, like
Oh.
Or like,
The-
you should take a picture with him. He really wants it. And the
Yeah.
one kid's like, no,
He's gonna feel
he's saying
bad.
no, we'll do it. Well, no, I don't want it. No, take the damn phone.
Well, it's kind of like, it kind of feels like somebody who literally just got like a really successful session out of rehab.
Yeah.
And it's like they're nothing but positive.
yeah.
I see this as
Going-
a win.
going to
Even in a
therapy.
failure, it's like, I see this as
Yeah.
a win.
Well,
I
he's,
also
he's one of the few characters that had a positive outcome. Tony also did, but he's definitely one of the.
But I also
biggest
saw
ones.
his personality as being the brains and the bronze. Like he's very smart, but he's also kind of like
Maybe do some smashing along the way. I mean, it seems gratuitous.
yeah.
Oh man, that whole part.
Like just is that what you
Throw in
want?
the bike all cash.
Yeah.
Side or second?
Second
I'm
character.
still gonna go side. if I can.
I'm gonna skip me for now while I think about it.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
For
There's a
me.
lot.
Okay, for me, it's tough because I'm like, it's Iron Man, Captain America, but it's Iron Man, and then if there's like a level down of like, because it's Cap and then Thor, right? But it's like it's Iron Man is number one because this was like
Yeah.
he had everything to lose. He
Yeah.
had his win. He
had
didn't
his
have
second
to-
chance.
He didn't have to. He didn't have to.
He had to.
And then second, I think is Rocket because I and Corey
Wait,
knows.
why'd you roll your eyes at me then?
No, because what I didn't say. I didn't roll my eyes.
Oh,
at
I
you.
thought you did when I
this.
said-
My eyes went up.
Oh, I thought you. I thought when I said this is the best he's ever been written, you were like, I don't know.
No, I
And
said,
was like,
yeah, because and Corey knows this is like I don't find his character in Guardians of the Galaxy movies great, and it's not because I don't think he's written well or he's performed well, but it's that everyone's a comedic relief, and why do I need 5 comedic reliefs?
Yeah.
Where it's like Drax is funny, Quill's funny, Gamora's funny in her own way, and then
Yeah.
Rocket. I've never found any one of his jokes funny. I've only found him over the top, and then in this film, no one is funny. Everyone's serious, and he is the comedic relief. But
Yeah.
the thing is, he's the comedic relief because he's so practical.
yeah.
And it's just like, well, it's like I could have swore you were a builder. Where it's like, maybe I am.
Yeah.
And then, or it's also, it's like you're not the only genius on Earth, or it's like you're only a genius on Earth, Stark.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I lost everything. Could you just pull it together while I go stab your girlfriend?
Yeah,
And it's
that
like,
one,
yeah.
those kind of things. Was like he's just trying to be effective, and he knows what he's lost.
Yeah.
It doesn't clash with everybody. It's like there's no one trying to over funny somebody.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And again, like Corey said, like it's the best written because it's like it's the best to me implemented way for him to be in here. And I really like Nebula. And
Yeah.
like that's the one thing about this film that I really liked is that it made me like all the characters I don't normally like.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about this having like B plot, C plot, D plot, whatever, was that
Endgame Z plot.
was that they were able to have those comedic relief things without it like dumbing down the actual scene.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a serious thing and then somebody made a joke like off to the side. It would cut to something else where a joke happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like it doesn't cheapen the scene.
He's
before
really good
it,
at that.
and but it maintains the tone of Marvel movies in that sense.
Yeah.
But I just remembered my side character.
Carol Danvers.
No, but I really
Ooh.
liked her.
I liked her moment between her and Peter, especially. Hello,
Her and Peter was really
I was
good.
like, oh, she knows.
I
he's
loved
scared.
her like going down to do recon. I was like, oh, you're so cool. And I'm like, did I just say that?
Yeah,
And then
she was.
yeah, and then her at the end, of course. So Russo's did what they needed to do. I think she still needs to carry a little bit more for me to feel super confident if she's going to be
The new Cap.
the new lead of the
Avengers.
MCU. But we'll talk about that later. But my actual favorite side character would be Pepper Potts as Rescue.
Oh,
gonna
okay.
say.
Yeah.
I came sorry.
No, it's okay. It's
Well,
good.
I came
Makes me
to
think.
Tom last week with
he
with
comes to
some
me a lot.
with
Tom.
with an
Every
idea
time.
for rescue fanfic that I had.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know how I
Because
get
I was
about
convinced
fanfic.
that it wasn't. I was like, there's no way that they were. It's not even something that I considered that they would put rescue in
Well,
this.
you
Yeah.
were wrong.
But I was as soon as you see the mask with
Again,
Morgan.
Iron Man 3 is important now.
As soon as you see Morgan have the mask with her, I'm like,
That's gonna
okay.
happen.
Yeah,
It's
All right.
Kid
'Cause
Iron.
After she didn't rescue him in the spaceship at the beginning of the movie,
yeah,
because that was like one theory. As soon as that didn't happen, I was like, okay, so rescue's not in this.
yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go ancient one actually.
Mm,
I really liked the scene between her and Hulk.
Yeah.
Or
Is it just a
Banner.
conversation?
yeah.
Yeah. And I like how calm she was. Like when he first shows up and
You
she's
don't
like,
do
I
this.
can't do that. And
Mhm.
he's like, well, I have to. And then she's just like, boom, 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 and just puts his
Yeah.
spirit out of Hulk. And he's like, what the hell
I
happened?
worked really hard
And
to
they
get
have-
that in there.
I like how they used her. I like how they talked about the timeline splitting. And she's
Yeah.
like, sure, you'll be fine, but we're fucked.
Mhm.
You haven't thought about that yet.
But
And
also, he's like, yeah, I have, bitch, science.
yeah. Well, he hadn't yet. To be fair, like they didn't think about bringing the Stones back until
Yeah.
her scene. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, what if we bring him back at the right moment? And then she's like, and then the whole Stephen Strange thing.
Yeah.
But I really like her
Because it's a promise.
her
and
moment
also
in it.
Life.
Yeah.
I really liked her part in this story.
Contribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She still gives off an Odin-like wisdom.
Yeah, and like you said, like that moment, her moment of realization was really well done.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Willingly.
Wow.
So now go to qualms.
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 Qualmy
I'll start.
qualms.
Go ahead.
Mine's again, this is like I said, this is a 3-hour film, and I think before we get into this qualm thing, I want to say, and I say this a lot, Tom says a lot, movies are hard to make especially one that has 11 years of fandom riding on it and the biggest movie franchise in history. So shout out to the Russos and everyone at Marvel, all the writers, all the editors, all the CGI artists, everyone involved in this at any part. Shout out to you guys because you fucking did something amazing. With said that, I could have done 4 hours. I could have sat through a 4-hour film. I'm someone who watches Lord of the Rings Extended Edition religiously. So to me, I was like, I could have gone for more. And something I would have liked to see with that extra breathing room is a little more of the world afterwards, the 5 years later. Like we got a little bit with Cap and the support group. Maybe follow Scott Lang a little more around the world and be like, how are people
more than just the memorials?
Well, they had the memorials and we had
seeing the fallout more.
City. We had the City Field, I think it was empty and like.
I would have liked to see going on to that and making this a discussion. I would like to see War Machine, where he's at seeing the favelas or the other gangs.
See him discover that.
Yeah, but also see like where Rocket or where Captain Marvel.
That's what I mean. Just like a little more of like
the devastation.
Because I think it's really fascinating. Like
what the Avengers are now, what everybody's doing in the universe. Maybe not
and
so
Thanos'
big,
whole
but
point of like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe you can't do it because there are still people who remember da-da-da. And I can't remember if this was true or not. So please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Someone at this table correct me wrong. I believe someone was talking about how Gamora's home planet actually like didn't do well after he wiped out half the planet. He never really went and checked. And the fact is that like with his line of thinking, half the planet randomly, you could kill off all your farmers. And then suddenly people don't know how to farm and don't know how to eat. You could kill off all your people who
What happened was like they had more resources like he thought.
Yeah.
But the thing is, just exactly what happened with Endgame, they never got over the fact that half of them got killed.
So like I would have liked to explore that. It's really nitpicky because we did get some of it and it was really fascinating to me and that's why I wanted to see more of it. And again, like they did what they could in 3 hours. 3 hours.
Because they showed
2
everything
minutes.
empty. And I was like, well, the whole world didn't disappear.
Right, but it is quite a lot. And
Well,
fewer.
the thing is, like, it's not the whole world's empty, or the whole world disappeared, but it's like
No one's going out.
But like, imagine half of your family going away.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you just don't get over that.
Yeah.
Right? And it's also, but it's not even half your family. It's half your friends. Then also half the people that you knew.
and half your favorite movie stars and musicians.
and it's
like,
random.
Well, you
like,
get some of it in the support meeting, but then you don't. But like to your point, you don't see.
But
that
I just would like to see them in the
reflected
world a little more.
world.
Like go into like one of the busier places in the world that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
And, like
Because
have
some
more- like
the
I Am
world is
Legend did a
going
little
on,
bit.
right? The world is kind of going on because they went out to eat dinner
Yep.
somewhere, probably a restaurant,
Salads.
business that's
Have a salad.
growing or the business that's being kept, right?
Yeah.
And then there's still power in the Avengers compound.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's probably just
I do want to make
actually.
I do want to make it funny and say like the way that the Russo had his date. It's kind of like how all my dates go, just crying.
just before dessert.
Just kidding. After the check.
But yeah, that's it. That's my one. If you want to call it a qualm, call it a qualm. Russo's, if you want to release a 4-hour extended edition,
Well,
I'm there.
It's been I feel like it's been a really long time since we've had a movie of this length.
We can spend time in there.
Of
Like they could make stuff.
Yeah.
I think so.
In
2.5
this level,
has been
like-
the new kind of like okay.
Well,
Oh, that's
I
long,
think the
but this
longest
is-
they go
yeah.
for is like 2. If it's like 240, it's like
Yeah.
like a Nolan film or something. They're like, it's long.
yeah,
Yeah. 3
just
hours
like
and
that
2
too.
minutes.
Ooh.
So that's my only one I really have written down. I think.
I got 2.
Okay.
2 trailers. Bullshit.
Well, that's not the movie though.
Well, I'm just saying. I want to see Scarlett Johansson shooting a target for no damn reason.
Yeah.
Secondly,
if we want to get in on that, then like, okay, it's not. I call it false advertising.
Yeah.
Like, I get what they're trying to do, protect it. Edit your trailers more creatively. Then
Yeah.
that's all I say. Don't sell me something that isn't
Change
there.
things. Yeah.
Like showing
Yeah.
Hulk in Infinity War trailer. Like, fuck you guys. Like,
And I understand, like, at first I feel like it was maybe done, like, if they made decisions after the fact, like creative differences after a trailer came out.
I can see
can
that. That
understand
happens all the
that.
time though.
But this is
Yeah.
not, this wasn't that.
They
This was
purposefully did
deliberate.
it.
Yeah.
I ain't about that life.
my second one is kind of a 2 thing. Thanos is
Yeah.
a little interesting. When he arrives on Earth and he says, "Daughter," it's like not as well rendered as everything else. Like the first close up you get of him on Titan when he fights Iron Man and Doctor Strange, it's like, this is the human face. You see this? I'm like, this is a PlayStation 2. And I was like, why is he blue? And you know, obviously it's dark and all this ugly stuff. I was like, but that's your mask. That's how you're supposed to look better in the dark.
I know they had VFX stuff coming in like within days of when they had to like
Yeah,
Oh.
release
ship
it
the
or ship it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second part is a little bit of his characterization. I know Infinity War did a lot of the legwork.
Infinity Door. Yeah.
Infinity War did a lot.
I was gonna let it go.
Infinity 4
No.
did a lot of the legwork. In this one, like to me, my perception alone, he kind of became a little like, I just gotta fucking kill everybody. He's the Mad Titan. They don't ever say Mad Titan, but he's the Mad Titan. He's like, I'm going to destroy everything and all that shit. And I was kind of like, he's kind of becoming back to a Marvel villain, because but it's really hard, right? Because Infinity War, he was so good. He had the most screen time. Like it was his movie and shit. And this one, it was just like,
He also
I gotta just fucking kill everybody.
he also went through a lot of things in Infinity War that he
leading
that
up to
version-
Infinity War.
9 years.
that version of him hadn't.
Yeah.
9 years of humblingness.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, I take off my helmet out
Right.
of fights.
Well, because I mean, I think the whole point of that was that he takes off his armor because it's like it's a spiritual journey now for him to get the stones.
He doesn't
And
need his armor.
He doesn't need his armor. So like he's the 2014 version of him doesn't have that
I
stuff.
would say like he's a mental, spiritual adversary in Infinity War, and this
Yeah.
one he's purely just a physical
Well, no,
adversary.
also he's getting annoyed.
He also did see himself get beheaded
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
arm chopped off.
He's like, Earth keeps being a problem. I'm just gonna wipe you guys out.
Yeah.
This miserable planet.
This is just a quick question for you, Tom, because I feel like I'm remembering it correctly. But in the Infinity Saga in the comic books, after he snaps and he retires to his farm, he's essentially a changed person.
Yeah.
Like he's totally like
Him and Adam Warlock are chill.
yeah. But what I think is interesting about this, that it doesn't go, oh, but that's not the way that it happened in the comic books. They're using the past Thanos, who's totally out of his flipping off of
He's
his
still
lid.
mad.
Right.
Yeah, he's still the Mad Titan.
And this is their run.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like Captain Marvel when they had Ronan. He's not the Nazi yet.
Yeah.
Well, even like in the beginning of Endgame, when they're confronting him, he says, "I destroyed them because
Their temptation.
the only purpose they serve now is temptation," which is like, okay, so you're not like an evil quote unquote person. You just you're just twisted.
created balance.
I liked that. And that is destiny fulfilled. And I was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah, and he knows. I think he's always been prepared to give his own life for his cause. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was more of just like before he was slowly gathering them, no one was really getting in his way. The
Right.
Avengers did in the first film, obviously. Loki failed him, Ronan failed him, whatever. But this was like they are actively searching and trying to prevent him, and he's like, "Oh, it's game time then."
Well,
Yeah,
the
in
thing
that
is, like, they
case.
can't even prevent him. They just have to undo what he did.
Yeah.
It's like the snap has to still happen, and people still have to be dead.
Yeah, he's
But
like-
it's
he was very specific.
And that's the thing.
But
with-
he knows that it would be all for naught.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's like his greatest work, his magnum opus is undone. And
Yeah.
that's the thing where he's like, I'm doing this for y'all, but y'all don't get it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how did you put
So I get
sprinkles
why
on my
he's
bacon?
angrier in this one because he's like,
Yeah.
fucking kidding me?
And then now
Yeah.
I think he ultimately he gets to the point where he's like, I'm gonna just destroy the entire universe.
Yeah, he's going to create
then
a brand new one
build
built
a
on
brand new
blood
one. Yeah.
that no one would know about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like, okay.
Because he's
now
like, I
it's-
was flawed. I'll admit it. My thinking was flawed.
And like, so when he grabs that gauntlet again, you're like, he's about to snap everything out of existence.
Except for like
Everything.
himself.
But
Except for himself.
the cosmic beings would stop that shit.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Let's see it.
Any other qualms?
I have a couple, but I wanted to.
I have one, but you go ahead.
Good.
Yeah. I have 3. 2 are reaching, and 1 is actually a
I thought
question
you
for
said
the
you had
table.
one.
No. I said, anyway.
He said he had a couple, then he
okay.
said he had 3.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm just
2
kidding.
are reaching qualms. 1 was older Cassie. She just, to me, looked so old.
A little
Looked-
older.
Looked
I
a
agree with
little
that.
older.
A lot older.
Reaching qualm. Seriously, reaching qualm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, eh.
I noticed it
because
immediately. I was
How
like,
old is she in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Is she like 9?
like 10
or
at
something?
best.
So the thing is, she appears to be
I guess she could look 15.
9 or 10, but then
Yeah.
now she looks
15.
17, 18.
Yeah,
She
I
should
mean,
be
she even looked
15.
older than that to me.
Oh,
but
to me,
still,
she looked about 16.
How old
so-
do we
yeah.
look?
Oh.
Let's
Don't get
not
into
play
that.
that
Don't do
game.
that. Don't do
Let's
that.
not play that game. Don't do
a
it.
reaching one
14
is
years old.
147.
7 years.
This is another reaching one. I loved the scene, but it's the way that they handle Captain Marvel, because I feel like it's Deus Ex Marvel. Like she just all of a sudden appears, and my qualm about it is I would love to have seen her more throughout the events. I know that there's a lot more planets in the universe.
She was also filming Captain Marvel.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And again, it's a reaching qualm because I was like, damn,
Well, you want to see her more integral.
damn.
They
Yeah,
could have
I'd love
jumped
to
to
see
her
her
time.
And I had
They could have jumped to her time for something.
Yeah, but it was like, that's a reaching one. And then this is a question, because it was the only one that wasn't answered my second time through. And maybe this is a part of the speculation.
Sure.
But Captain America, like all of the time stuff was fixed and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. This one, I was like, okay, so he went back. He put all the Infinity Stones back.
Gave Mjolnir back.
Mjolnir back. He did all of that. but he still stayed.
Yes.
So
How?
are we on an alternate branch now?
No.
Or
He just
so how?
became-
Because
like-
now he's not.
So like when they went back in time, they could see their old selves, right? And they even explain it in the movie where he goes, "You can't change the future by going into the past
Yeah, like going to the past to change something doesn't actually affect.
because it's your future now."
However,
Yes.
goes into the theory thing. No one that we know of has ever given back a soul stone. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I think there's some fucked up shit happening.
I
in
had
timeline.
not thought about that until this exact moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like that. Like there's some things that have to have changed, and that's how they're gonna bring.
That's the
in-
thing that
How
I'm
do
like.
you
yeah,
get back the soul stone?
I guess the new phase is going to include some things that may have
Well,
changed.
like the TV shows, like somehow. I mean, yeah, I guess it'd be more speculation because WandaVision takes place in the 50s.
But also, it's like this is how.
Is it?
Like you have
Oh.
him
I think they
doing
said
this
that.
to be the ultimate. He's not plot armor. He is now plot device.
Yeah.
And you get this to bring in Fantastic Four. You get this to bring in X-Men.
X-Men.
And so like with that, where it's like, how does I want to hear the rest of your qualm, but it's kind of like.
No, that's my only qualm because I left without an answer.
That was the question.
and it was a
Not a
question
qualm.
of like I walked away like
How does that
it was a
happen?
qualm to me because I was like, I got an answer to everything, but not that. Like I
Yeah.
don't understand how this is
Well,
okay. And now you're finishing the movie with that, and I'm like,
The way I saw it, essentially there are two caps now. Like
Yeah.
so he went back to when he was frozen.
And Peggy has to live
Whatever.
a secret life.
Yeah.
yeah,
And she has to basically live a
And-
secret life. I'm assuming that he eventually told like Tony
He might have
because he
told.
got the shield back.
He might have told key players.
He got the shield
Yeah.
back.
Mhm.
So he had to have seen either Stark or something, or Peggy stole it, or whatever it is. But essentially, he's alive while all the events are happening in New York,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's
da
two
da da. And you
caps.
can see his cap, like
It's-
his,
okay.
It's
his
actually-
frozen stuff, still helping
I
the
just-
Avengers.
just like he ran into him in the.
I was
time
just a
heist.
little irked
Yeah.
by it because they ended it with it, and they're ending Chris Evans as Captain America
yeah.
with it, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's a lot of question for
Yeah.
me. It wasn't a definitive answer.
It'll-
Like
I'm,
it's,
I'm assuming it'll either come through in the TV shows like Winter Soldier and Falcon, or WandaVision or Loki's.
Or if they do
thing.
any other movie that just happens to start at an earlier time,
Yeah.
they could just throw him in.
I
there.
also have
Yeah.
no, not no, but I have no reason to believe that he probably won't make a cameo here or there in something.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think he will, but I don't. I think he'll stay away from major parts. But he
Oh,
will
yeah.
show up.
Again, to me, like when I watched in this film, I was like, they have to remove Iron Man and Cap because it won't make sense if this is their last movie and they're still alive or still capable, because you can't have an Avengers worldwide event and it's like Cap and Iron Man are just fucking having pina coladas
floating around
Yeah.
the
You
world.
know, it's like you have to remove them from the equation somehow.
Right.
But again, if something happens beforehand, you could still have them play a
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
because they just can't take place in current events.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The one I keep going back to is WandaVision, since they announced it's taking place back in time somehow.
Caitlin ain't qual. 'Cause I know Ollie has
My
one.
my qualms are small. It's when
It's a
they're
theme.
sitting in the when they're sitting in the diner and Professor Hulk is like talking to them, and then that weird like phone picture with Ant-Man
Took a
thing
little long.
that was really long to me, like painfully long,
Hmm.
because to me
Well,
that's
first
That
time I
was the
watched
same
it,
same
it
thing
was.
with Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? You didn't like those kind of awkward.
yeah, I like any type of cringy humor just really doesn't sit well with me, so it's probably a little bit more personal baggage. But for the movie being so long, that scene being
Felt
as
like
drawn out felt like
precious time.
eternity.
yeah.
Precious time where I could be getting screen time of other things that I'm.
More
you know.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
I
more Scarlett Johansson.
I get that. For me, I loved it simply because I knew it was improvised,
Yeah.
and the kids just had to follow Paul Rudd and Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And to me, I got me so much joy that two of the kids go, yeah, and then the littlest kid goes, shakes his head no, and I was like, I love everything. I love everything about this, but I'm
Yeah.
also really biased towards improv stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And to me, like seeing that in this, where everything feels so polished, it felt out of place for me. And the same held true for when Thor and Quill are
Playing
having
Fortnite.
the
Of
but we know
course,
who's
of
in charge.
course you're
Of
in
course,
charge.
of
Of
course,
course.
the measurement
I
contest.
think our sense
Oh,
of humor
that.
is just different.
right.
yeah.
That's
'Cause
why I'm like
again, I loved that.
yeah. I
So
which
all
I
the comedy.
understand.
Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But any other parts?
Not really.
Ollie won.
So mine, it's not even like a real qualm. It's more like it's a bummer that,
We didn't see more Kevin.
and it's
Marvel.
like it's not even inside of the movie. It's like exists outside the movie. It's basically
so much foreplay. Tell me what it is.
because we
Yeah.
jumped 5 years later, we didn't get to see how Hulk became Professor Hulk.
Mm.
And
You just
like
wanted to see it.
yeah, because they kind of set
And
up
how
his,
Morgan was born.
So if
one
you
of-
go back to Incredible Hulk, like that's where he's trying to cure it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it continues and he's struggling and he kind of has a handle on it during Avengers, but then it kind of goes away. And then he kind of
Thor Ragnarok.
is at his worst during Thor Ragnarok, where he just has no control over
He loses 3 years on that one.
and then he gets beat up. So he goes through this like journey, and even though he's not like a front-lining character as far as like having his own movie or anything, you there's a pretty good thread there of his character development, and it's awesome to see. Like I said, he's my favorite character, but it's awesome to see the result. But I wish we had that like
A little nugget
couple
of-
years of like
information.
a couple things that made him either realize that or something that impacted him in a way to them have him go through that to make that happen.
To add to that, I'm just a little like a bummer that there was a little bit no closure between him and Nat.
That's true.
Because-
That we know of.
he threw
There
a
is
bench
a
across the
Black
universe.
Widow
but
movie coming out.
Yeah, but I mean, up until this point,
Yeah.
no, because she's dead.
Right.
Only thing you get is him throwing the bench. Like, well, did you even try to make up with her? And secondly, because like he had this whole moment
could've.
in New Asgard, it's like, you're the one that got me through it, not Nat, because Thor's like, Nat help you, and it's like, no, like the fuck, why is she? Okay.
Yeah, and he's like, and maybe that's just, and that's part of it too, where it's like he's weirdly isolated from everybody, but not in a depressing like pit like Thor was, but like
For me,
he's trying to figure his own thing out.
I don't
get
think I
that.
needed the Nat closure in this simply because it's not ready to be done yet.
We'll
With
see.
her
So-
movie and with him still being part of the Avengers, like he's still in it. He's
Yeah.
not done.
He's got a couple more movies, I think.
Hopefully, I'm just saying, hopefully,
Yeah.
it'll happen.
Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know because they
If there's
haven't
gonna
they
be
haven't
a-
done it so far.
Well, I mean-
they spanned this over like now 4 movies have had like Bruce Banner and Nat being
Yeah.
like.
But
a
I just mean
relationship.
like with a Black Widow movie in the works and a big shakeup and everything. Don't you think that could be one of the lines that's left untied to be tied up in the new Phase 4?
I mean, Pepper and Iron Man were able to like figure out what they were doing by the second movie.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like, if it's gonna happen, should it happen?
I don't think so. I don't think it should have happened yet. There was too many other
I
things.
think
to
they needed to
on.
focus on her
Yeah.
relationship with Barton for
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah,
And I think
I think it's a full circle moment with that, and that's
Yeah.
more
For this
important. But that's the thing.
particular-
yeah.
Like to me, that relationship is the least important now. Like her and Cap's relationship is more important to me. Was more
You
important
had a couple nods to it,
than that.
you know,
Like her
her
and-
saying it used to take a lot more before or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you kind of realize that was happening. But yeah, I think I don't know what their decision is with that or what their,
Like she shared
creative-
screen time with Iron Man, so I was like, oh cool, she should be really close with him.
yeah.
Be really close with Fury because she worked under him. She worked really close with Cap, so it's like I thought the relationship between her and Cap was going to be a thing because comic books, ladies and gentlemen, whenever I'm home for the casual movie audience, everyone sleeps with everybody. But like that relationship was like I felt so created for this movie, for this franchise, and they spent almost no time other than the fact of like they have these looks with each other,
yeah.
and I was like,
Well, I mean, I don't
Well-
think either of them thought that she was gonna kill herself until it had to be done.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
they both got there not knowing that you had to kill someone with the Soul Stone.
Which I guess is another small qualm, unless I'm mistaken.
that no one informed
And
them.
no one informed them. I feel like Nebula knows
Of course.
what happened at Vormir. And for her not to inform them, I feel was a little off.
I feel like there might be a sequence where we missed where there was a briefing where it's like the 2 best teammates should go there.
Yeah.
And like Iron Man and Cap
And
definitely
like
clash.
I don't think obviously they didn't even know going to Vormir because
But-
they were about to like threaten violence against Red Skull.
They
to
had
get
an
it.
idea. I mean, no one knows that.
Well, that's a Dominion of Death, technically.
Right.
Then they knew that.
Yeah.
But like to Corey's point, it's like they did have the most powerful relationship as a team, and they've worked with each other for the longest.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what I in my
Long way from
mental
Budapest.
creation of like, hey, this is
good.
what they should have said. It's like the 2 best teammates should go to Vormir.
Kaylin?
I guess I'm hesitant to say this qualm, but it
Moving
was
on.
true for me. In that when Tony died, I was obviously like bawling my eyes out in the theater, but at the same time, I was like not trusting it
Mm.
because the stones still exist.
Mm.
And if Gamora can come back from being killed in a way that
Well,
you're not supposed to be able to come back from, and I know this is getting into speculation a little bit too, but you know, I don't trust anyone dying now
Yeah.
I see what you're
because
saying.
it's been proven that doesn't always matter.
We can just go back to 2012, grab Tony, come back.
Right.
We can go back, get past Black Widow. Like,
Or
why is she dead, but Gamora
Because
It's
all
not.
the rules have been broken, what's to stop any future rules from being broken?
Because the
Too.
time travel isn't relying on the
Well,
gauntlet or
they
the
didn't-
stone. That's
They
relying
don't
on
keep Gamora out of
particles.
time.
pin particles and
They don't keep her out of time. Gamora.
Well,
What do you mean?
Gamora. She disappears somewhere.
They put her.
Right.
She's not anywhere at the end of the film. So I
She's-
think she went back to her timeline to meet Quill, do everything that's supposed to happen.
I
in the
think 'cause she
original
wasn't
timeline.
in
I
the
don't know
funeral.
if that's
Well,
I don't know, yeah.
quote unquote, because some things
I
did
think
change,
I
like they
heard
knocked
them-
out Quill and stuff.
I
But
think I heard them say that it got destroyed. The thing. That's what they had to use.
Yeah.
The van.
the time
Yeah.
machine, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But they
We're-
rebuild it at the
we're-
end of the movie.
we're getting
obviously.
into we're getting into speculation.
Right.
Well, I guess my thing with it is that like she didn't come back from the dead.
Right.
It's from
She was
before
never
she's
exactly.
This is
That's what I
past
mean.
Gamora.
And,
Yeah.
and we may as well start bleeding into speculation now anyway.
Well, let's do it after the rating.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
let's-
like
we'll
my
revisit
whole
this,
point is
but-
that due to the Sorcerer Supreme's message that everything has to go back to where it was, and to me
She's
that
not
sounds
there.
like Gamora's not back from the dead. She's technically still dead. Iron Man's dead. Black Widow's dead.
Mhm.
As far as the rules set by the Sorcerer Supreme go.
For now.
We'll go into rating, then we'll go into
yeah.
speculation.
For now.
Unless there's any more qualms.
No.
No.
Okay, so no one, Josh and Ollie. So you guys go first. Your rating.
Prettiest first.
So I'll go.
For me, for me, it's a 5. There's nothing I would change about the movie. It did what it needed to do, and then some. And I never expected to get something like this meaningful and this deep
Mm-hmm.
from a movie.
Josh.
I am going to give it a 4.9. It's only because I would change that one cap thing. Just getting one answer.
And maybe more Flurkin.
Yeah, more Flurkin.
Caitlin.
It's a 4.9 for me as well. There are a few things, and it's so hard to give it a 4.9 just because it's so huge and there's so much history, and it's like impossible to make something like this, but they made it. But there are things that could have been tweaked and torqued and that kind of thing. So
Tweet to
So
twerk.
me and Corey. Do we
What
want to do
point-
first?
You're gonna make me go first no
1%.
matter what.
0.01%.
Like,
Yes.
I appreciate it.
I'll go first. I'll go first.
You're gonna
I'll
make
do
me
it.
go first.
No, I'll go first.
Okay.
There's a song in a movie that came out in February.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Us, and then they feature a song called "I Got Five on It."
Nice.
So that's my number. 5.
Five.
Nice.
No matter
Yeah.
what, this is gonna be a 5 because this is an unprecedented thing, and for the first time in a long time for Marvel films, I just don't know what to think afterwards. I don't know what to
Yeah.
expect, and this was the first movie. It's like Infinity War. I was like, all right, this might happen. This might happen. This might
Yeah.
happen. Something's gonna happen. He's gonna do a snap. But it's like, okay, I have no idea what the fuck's gonna happen. And like, no matter like, this film has a higher window of entry, or it's just harder to get into because if you haven't watched all 22 or you haven't watched a majority of them, you're gonna get lost in it. But the thing is, this is the reward for those people,
Right.
And to me, like, no matter how many qualms I have,
It was payoff after
I'm not
payoff.
going to change a 5.
I haven't had this amazing and this emotional of a theater going experience since The Dark Knight in 2008.
Yeah,
Period.
I agree with
Yeah.
that.
That is like, kind of like your go-to. It's like Dark Knight 2000.
It's.
yeah, but I understand. I
I mean,
get that.
I would put Avengers as my number 5 favorite movie of all time now.
Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Wow.
Mine is a 5 as well.
So I was right.
To me,
Caitlin is the ground, and so is
Oh.
Josh.
yeah,
We're going.
you too. So for me, it was just that. Again, it like I said, I entered this universe when I was 19. I'm 30 now, so that's like a big portion of my life.
Your brain was forming.
Yeah, my brain was still forming. So to me, to get the payoffs that I've been waiting for 11 years and 22 movies was huge, and the way they handled it was exceeded all my expectations, 100%.
Felt so effortless.
Not due to the fake trailers, but it did. The way they handled every storyline that I cared. So there's a lot of room for error, and it's been done in other movies. It's in the MCU where I'm like, that's unfortunate.
So many moving parts.
But the Russos really, and everyone involved in this film, the writers, took this mega franchise and handled it with care, and weren't afraid to make you feel things about comic book heroes. Like, props. 5 out of 5. 5.5
Avengers Assemble.
if I can. 5.5
5.5.
stars out of 5.
I was like, at first I was like, I should say 6, and then like
No, but it's 5 for me.
Yeah,
So
I was
Ollie-
like 6 because this movie shouldn't exist, and like, and like it has no right to exist, but it exists and it's beautiful
And my only
it breaks
my only
things
qualm
just
was
like
that
my score.
I wanted another hour of it.
Ollie, we're gonna take off our grump crowns and give them to these two. Here you go.
I just want
Wow.
to. I just want to point out.
No,
Very
you're the grumps.
soft
You're the grumps.
grump.
You're the grumps.
4.9.
That's it. No, that's
We're
it.
grumps.
There's no generous. There's no generous
Grumps.
4s. There's no soft grumps.
But you were the grumps on Endgame.
Okay, now fucking speculation point. Okay, fucking
All right.
okay. Real quick, I'm
Let's do
just
this.
gonna pop out real quick. They've never given away a soul stone before, right? So it's like, does the soul come back then? You know what I'm saying? But also, it's like because Gamora is in Soul World, baby Gamora. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so is Nat there with her? Is that where the Black Widow movie starts? Is it going to be she's training Gamora in the way that she got trained in the Red Room? And it's like,
Well, I was gonna say, isn't it just Baby Gamora because that's still how he kind of pictures her?
I don't know.
I
Because
think
the thing
that's
is,
his
like,
own.
Is that just a dream sequence?
Well, a lot of people are thinking because it's orange where he is that it's within
and
the
the
Soul Stone.
comic books have actually copied that since.
Mhm.
Because before the comic books, like Soul World was like a pocket reality, and
Yeah.
it was like a lush garden. And then now it's like a fucking desolate orange
Watery wasteland.
For me,
without a little Japanese
Gazebo.
well, that was the gazebo that he
he pictures like balance.
balanced as things as all things should be.
But yeah, it's that stuff. And to me, I think Cap being in the past like has to have changed something. And it's not like in a bad way where like things are gonna go back. And in Avengers 5, more passive. Like I think they're
Yeah.
done with time travel because they
Yeah.
did it so well. But it's like in the Ultimate comic books where it's more grounded to reality versus the Marvel proper, which is what the MCU took a lot of from. Like Captain America was not the first super soldier; it was Nick Fury,
Mm-hmm.
and then Captain America was the perfected one. And
Yeah.
then like there was another one where it created fucking some other dude who becomes a Void. I forget. But Shield gets so involved, they create weapon program, and then they start going to genetics and they find the X gene. Like with Captain America being in the past, and then quote unquote the fact that Captain America has been out of time, like they're finding super soldiers, they're trying to find a way to defend Earth, from their selves. Like Cap can do whatever the fuck he wanted to do,
Yeah.
but also like, what does this mean for the future, right? Like without Cap, without Iron Man, and Iron Man, what does he want? He wants that suit around the world, and what's
Yeah.
a shield that's not shield? It's sword, sentient world operation response department.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is it. And Captain
This is where
Marvel
we're getting
is
sword?
in charge of it with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Could see the Star of Sword.
I'm just saying, it could be
really
fucking dope.
Yeah.
Anyways, those are some of the theories
Well, I
I
mean,
want to pop up.
it's going. We know it's going cosmic, right? And I think
Yeah.
they're going to be leaning heavily into cosmic on Phase
As Guardians
4.
of
And-
the Galaxy,
Magic.
and
And I
magic.
want to
Lots
see the
of-
magic.
Yeah.
Thor explaining space magic to Ant-Man was the best thing in the world.
I mean, one thing like saying cosmic, I mean, there was one thing that maybe it's just a throwaway thing that, oh, you're not supposed to think about it too much, but the earthquakes under the ocean, it's like we don't do anything about it. It's just earthquakes under the ocean.
Yeah.
There's a part of me then why are your Avengers senses tingling? Like it makes me think that maybe something will happen.
Well,
later on.
because like Namor
Mm-hmm.
and Submariner,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who's the
Could
king
be.
of Atlantis,
Yeah.
who wants to do the deal with Susan Storm.
Yeah.
For me, I think that one of the most interesting sort of branches or whatever that we got is Loki
Yeah.
Just-
going
Oh, yeah.
wherever the hell he went.
I'm excited for that show.
Just be like, okay, bye.
Bye.
Very excited for that show.
So that's what I'm hoping that they'll play on.
The
I'm
show?
sure they will at this point. Now that we know,
He's got a
now
show.
that we've seen Endgame,
Oh yeah.
And the cool thing
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that I forget what the
and he has the Space Stone.
stories of mystery or wherever the fuck that's where Thor came from, right? It's before
Mhm.
like Marvel and blah blah. But stories of mystery, whatever the fuck. There's a new or a recent story where Loki meets different versions of himself from different timelines because he gets reverted to it because he's about to die, and then he makes this thing where it's like if he was about to die, he turns into a child.
Hmm.
And then he has none of his like actual memories. So like Thor is actual real older brother, like
Yeah.
real older brother. And then he meets old like average age Loki, and Loki's like, "You're going to learn so much." And that Loki ends up, I think, before that point, becomes the Sorcerer Supreme.
Wow.
And it's
That's
really
wow.
there's a lot of
Interesting.
cool shit. And I was like, "What are they gonna do?"
But they called out to that, right? Something about magic, like they're both being the same thing. One of them's harnessed, one of them's not harnessed.
That's Thor 1.
Yeah,
Where you come from, you call it science. Where I
Right.
come from,
But I mean,
it's one and the
compared
same.
to specifically, it was compared to Doctor Strange. I thought.
Oh,
remember.
You
Yeah,
call it
where it was
magic.
aligned.
Where I come from, magic and science are one and the
thing.
same.
Yeah, but in that, it's I understand what
Something in
Baron
Endgame.
Mordor says it.
Yeah,
But speculation specifically, Captain America.
Yeah.
Right. But also the mantle of Captain America.
Mhm.
And they have a show, Bucky and Falcon.
Yeah.
Right. So we know Sam Wilson is going to be the new Captain America.
Yeah.
What are some thoughts? What are some things?
I mean, I'm excited obviously for the show to see what happens since it's the actors. But I'm a little. I mean, it's Captain America without the soldier serum, so I'm a little apprehensive as to what that could look like. And he's Falcon, so it doesn't mean he's getting rid of his wings. But the show is called Falcon and
Bucky
what's it
and
called?
Falcon.
It's called Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think. I think is the
Okay.
title of the show. So it's not Captain America; it's Falcon instead. So that's where I'm like, we need to see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe through the course of it,
Bucky talks him
he
into
becomes more Captain America like. So Tom's showing me.
I'm
a little
showing
image,
him an image
uh,
that he still flies, but he wears a cap. He
Okay.
pretty much wears the Winter Soldier suit.
it. Yeah.
and he has
Oh.
the shield.
And
Okay, that
it
works.
looks dope. And so it's kind of like he doesn't have the super soldier serum,
But he's
serum,
called-
but he can fly.
But he goes by Captain America in that, right?
So there's that.
Look at the
Yeah,
it's called
so-
Sam Wilson, Captain America.
So the show being called Falcon, unless they change the title, which I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
of course, WandaVision's not a good name.
Well, that's the other thing. We'll get to them.
Do you think all
But-
those names are going to change?
I think some of them have to.
I mean, Avengers 4 was going to be called Avengers 3 Part 2.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
all
true.
these shows, they're all the superhero names except for Wanda. Like it's not Scarlet Witch and Vision.
It's WandaVision.
It's WandaVision. It's like, okay, is it just because it's kind of catchy but kind of terrible at the same time? I don't like
It's
the
not
title.
catchy.
Um,
It's not catchy.
It's not.
Just because you can kind of say it in one word.
anyone else want to pop off on Captain America?
I mean,
Marco?
for me, I don't have too much speculation. I'm still kind of like really happy with where it ended off.
Yeah.
Same.
And rather than speculate, I'm just more excited to see what comes,
So one thing that I really
especially when it comes to Captain America.
not speculate but bring up is that there was a moment in I think I forget what the hell the thing's called, but it's the event where Thor becomes unworthy because a Watcher dies or something dies. So big ass eyeball, and you find out that Nick Fury is like a clone, and you find out
What?
that a real Nick Fury was like old David Hasselhoff. Yeah, David
Yeah.
Hasselhoff, Nick Fury, white boy Nick Fury, took Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson Nick Fury, was like this child from another country and was like trained him under him. But then
Yeah.
there was actually a bunch of clones of Nick Fury and that he was living in the shadows the entire time. And so it'd be cool. It's really out of the way, but it's like it'd be really cool if they did that something with Cap,
Yeah.
where like he still can't be on the side, but he has to do things very covertly. He's like, I'm still going to stop some big things that don't happen. You know,
Well,
some
the
big
thing
things
that
happen.
I was realizing a little bit earlier is that there's two Caps, yeah, but it's Cap with Peggy and then Cap on Ice
Yeah.
Yeah.
for 70 years or whatever. So our Cap as we know him, he's there really from 2012 to 2018
Yeah.
or no 2023, sorry. So yeah, so like 10 years basically
Mhm.
is when
Yeah.
our Cap is out and about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's sent back in time, and that's it.
So there's not really
our
a
Cap
lot of
goes back in time, and that's the
there's
end
not
of the
really a
story.
lot of overlap. Basically,
Yeah.
is kind of the point of that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I will say though, one thing I'm really hoping we see in Phase 4 at any time is Beta Ray Bill.
So, with the Asgardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
with Thor going into space, I think the best way to do Beta Ray Bill is the end of Odin's son's arc.
Yeah.
Because we just got Cap carrying the hammer, but who carried the hammer before him? Vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of
Very easily.
it kind of dulls that taste if Beta Ray Bill gets introduced really quickly.
Yeah.
And can carry.
I just mean
Stormbreaker.
in Phase 4.
Yeah.
I would love to see it.
And I would like it where it's like he ages and he becomes like the All Father, and then he has to go back to Asgard and then take his people, and then he's like, Beta Ray Bill, you are the new protector.
For those
the
of you
realm."
who don't know who Beta Ray Bill is,
He's like a jackal.
he took up
dude.
the mantle of Thor, and he's basically like this jackal horse creature
His-
of Norse mythology.
His people were destroyed by Surtur, the horn dude from
Mhm.
Thor Ragnarok, and he was also experimented on like Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the time when like Thor like was Donald Blake 1 second, he grabs a hammer, he becomes Thor.
Yeah.
And then when Beta Ray Bill and him fight, Thor loses the hammer, becomes Blake, wherever the fuck his face is, and then Beta Ray Bill grabs the hammer and he's worthy. and then they have to fight Surtur, yada yada. They fight
Yes.
for the right to have Mjolnir, and then Thor ultimately wins. But then Odin was like, "Nah, son, he's dope too. I'm gonna give him Stormbreaker,"
Yeah.
Mm.
and then he makes Stormbreaker for him.
Pretty dope.
So it'd be cool if he.
I
like,
love his
Thor-
character design.
Thor gives him Stormbreaker, and then he's able to make his own weapon.
I'd like that.
Since we're going into space, I'd like to see Adam Warlock.
It's gonna be Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I think he'll be prominent in that since we got a tease for him.
Zac Efron. Okay.
Wow.
So I mean, on that note, we have
Please don't.
we have Black Panther 2 all but confirmed.
We're like, Zach, F off. Don't do it.
Oh.
I don't want him as Adam Warlock.
I don't
Just
know.
like I don't want Channing Tatum as Gambit. But go on.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we know we're getting Far From Home, which is actually the end of phase 3. And I understand why. At first I was like, that's weird. But then after seeing Endgame,
Why does
I
that
understand
make
why.
sense for you? Go ahead.
So Endgame, it needed to be its own thing. It would be too much to set up another movie, and I understand why. And I think the last movie in the phases kind of have to start up the next phase and the next threat and what's coming
Be
later.
a new Iron Man.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously Endgame was not that. Endgame
It did
was
set up a lot.
It set up a lot. Yeah, a lot of possibilities.
It's
But
not the
there was
handoff.
There's no like after credit scene. There's no like.
It's more of a period than a comma.
There's no on the note because everything else has been pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's a period, and then
Semicolon.
the literally Homecoming is pressing the enter to start the new paragraph.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like some
Or Far From
shows.
Home.
That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
Far From Home.
Game of Thrones does this where it's not the finale that's the
Episode 9.
shoot you in the face. It's the episode 9 of 10 that is the holy shit, what's happening? And then episode 10 is the whoa, what just happened? Oh shit, what's that?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe Far From Home is going to be that where it's like,
I think so.
oh damn.
So
here's this.
The Guardians of the Galaxy is already in production.
Mhm.
Widow movie's already announced. Black Panther movie's already announced. But there's no real foresight into what else is afterwards.
Right.
But Far From
We
Home,
don't see that.
what I think will be, we now know why Spider-Man doesn't want to take the suit to Italy. But I think the overall revelation is that he knows that at the end he needs to assemble the Avengers. Him and Fury, because Fury is the one who's like, I had a dream that we'd get these people with ordinary special powers.
147.
And Spider-Man is the one who's like, I gotta do it. And I like that because Spider-Man for me in the comic books has always been like the audience surrogate, the moral in between of like, I could see where Cap's going, but I could also see where Iron Man's going.
Yeah.
It was like, but also at the end of the day, the responsibility lies on him.
Hey, Queens.
So I
So-
would like it at the very end that he's like, I got to make a new Avengers team because you got Bucky, who's probably gonna just be really close to Shield with Bucky and Cap, and then Marvel's gonna be out there flying around.
Yeah.
And then Strange is like, I gotta defend the realms, and then
Just like that.
and then Wakanda's like, yo, I don't know what happened for the 5 years. I gotta see how things are, and that's where we're gonna get the core team, and then Ant-Man's gonna be like, yeah, sure.
The most accurate representation of Ant-Man ever.
But I think that's where that they have to go with Far From Home is kind of like we're going to get a new Avengers team and this is how the lineup is going to go.
Quick question for Far From Home. Now that you've brought it up, they had that rumbling in the ocean, correct?
Mhm.
And in the trailer for Far From Home, they're fighting a giant water.
The elementals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're fighting the elementals.
Do you
but
think that's going to tie in at all with that rumbling in the ocean?
no, not for me. I don't think so. Mainly because the Spider-Man movies, one movie so far doesn't really they don't do a lot of service to the Avengers films. They just do
Except
here's
for the
my
opening 10
snapshot
minutes, yeah.
of this event that I was in. I got dust and I came back. But
And that's my only other thing is that, Spider-Man is still in this weird spot where it's like a co-production.
I thought you
with
said
Sony.
Splatterman, and I was like,
oh.
well, that's what happened. He got
No.
Also, how much of a satisfying payoff was instant kill mode?
yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah,
Finally,
that was
you
awesome.
see it.
I can do
'Cause
this. I can do this. I can't do this.
In Homecoming, I was like,
What does that
no,
mean?
why does he have instant kill mode? But then here I'm like, oh, because there's possibility that space demons are going to be surrounding
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
going to need to stab some things. Okay, good.
Sorry, you did have a point, and then I said Splatterman.
Because
They're
it's a
co-production
co-production.
with Sony.
It's hard for me to be okay or not be okay with. It's hard for me to imagine that they would rely to close out phase 3 with that,
Yeah.
Mm.
But at the same time, these movies, the Spider-Man movie, as you
I
point
feel
out.
like they've taken
It
off the
feels
gloves and they're
so-
like anything can
It just
happen
feels
now.
so incorporated that it does not feel disconnected to me at all.
What if, more speculation, like, because this is a question of like what happens after this, because I think Sony's like, we have to then renegotiate what happens because you get like a 3 or 4 movie deal.
Mhm.
But what if this is the end of Spider-Man? And then it's not like he dies, but he's just like, no more events for him.
Yeah.
And then it's because after that, then he has to like then grab all the other people. He's like, you guys have to defend, not me. We don't know.
I'll
Because
protect
we
Queens,
don't
you
know how
guys-
that deal's going to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know how that
if we're
deal's gonna
just
go
going
down.
by the deal, I would say it's up in the air. But honestly, it's making so much money, and Tom Holland is like one of the biggest stars in the world right now. I don't see this being his last outing. As
Past
shouldn't
couple
be.
years,
It
have
shouldn't
been,
be.
past couple years have been really successful for Sony and Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
making a lot of money.
Moving on, Hulk,
Hulk,
Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
Professor Hulk. I wanted to look this up before, but he has either 1 or 2 more movies left on his contract.
I would love to see him do more Earthbound stuff.
Earthbound stuff would be good. I loved him in Cosmic Space, but Cosmic Space is that a
Cosmic,
Is that
in the
redundant?
cosmic universe.
But
Cosmo Universe,
I do want to see him on Earth.
Cosmopolitan.
I want a Hulk movie with Ruffalo.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
about
want
time.
one Hulk movie with Ruffalo.
It would be expensive.
They've given up on Hulk, I feel like, a little bit as far as a standalone character. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot there that they just have avoided touching, which is fine for the Infinity story because it worked out really well where they placed him. But now, with where he's at, I would love a film of it.
Yeah.
I would like to see some play between him and William Hurt.
Red Hulk?
Thunderbolt Ross.
Go back to. I mean, he was in Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would like to see that because there is that thing that they have to kind of
Finish.
get to because they have never actually interacted.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have
Did they not?
threaded the
interact?
needle, Marvel. You threaded the fucking needle.
Did they not
They never interacted.
in Incredible Hulk?
Mark Ruffalo and
Oh,
Not
he's talking
Ruffalo.
about Ruffalo.
Yeah,
But
okay,
it's like-
Ruffalo.
after that fact, they have never
I
interacted.
thought you just meant the characters.
Not even through
in
his
Civil
like,
War, he's not in Civil War,
Yeah,
and
he's-
then in
Infinity War, he's just like, hey, Nat.
So I think
Not
he's
even,
in a
"Hey, Nat,
good
just
place.
Nat."
I don't think he has the story set up yet, or maybe that's the point of what the movie would be. But I would love to see him in either as Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever, either Volume 3 or whatever they do with like Thor in a bigger sense, and then have something set up to them for him to then have a
solo
standalone
solo
movie.
outing.
Yeah.
It might set it up in Black Widow.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then you got this last, and then if that's his last movie in the contract, then you have this hopefully amazing movie that sends him off.
that's one thing I'm really excited for or looking forward to is Black Widow.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what you could do?
What are you gonna do? Is it a prequel? Is it gonna be after the fact? Is it gonna be in Soul World?
I would love to him.
It's just
I would
much
love for
needed,
him
that's all.
to just retire
needed it.
at Planet Hulk, and that's his retirement.
Well, they try to do Planet Hulk with
They kind of
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I mean, yeah, I would love to see that come to a close.
Yeah.
Do you
a lot
guys
into the
think
sense of-
Positive way.
Thor's in Volume 3?
I'm thinking so.
I think he
Oh,
has
yeah,
to be
for
there.
sure.
I feel like a big
Guardians?
search for
But how
Gamora.
prominent?
Yeah.
But how
gonna-
prominent, right?
Because that's Chris Pratt's show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if you have Hemsworth coming in, which I don't mind, but he's
They
going to be
feed off
coming
each
in.
other really well.
They do.
Yeah.
They work together really well.
That
I'd say like
Infinity
this.
War scene was
How
so good.
much?
He would.
What if it's as much as Iron Man was in
No.
Civil War? Because
That's what I was thinking.
see, that's
Wait,
like
what?
a perfect melody.
So just kind of being a side character that shows up for integral parts, kind of like Tony
Like
did,
Iron Man and-
like Iron Man
and
and
Civil
in
War.
Homecoming or Civil War.
in Civil War.
Oh, okay,
Because that's a Cap movie.
in my
Yeah.
brain you said Homecoming. I don't know why.
Civil War.
In English, I said.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
But
No, I can see that. I'm just worried about Thor stealing the show because he did such a great job in this, and unfortunately, Chris Pratt had to take the sideline in this one.
well, it's all his fault.
Dude,
Bullshit.
I mean,
Fair.
Well, no, I mean, but just actor wise.
that.
But thinking actor wise, like having Chris Hemsworth be the star, he
Oh
would.
no,
ki-
he
I
should
feel
not
like
be. He should
would-
not be. It should be again. Top billing
That's what I'm
is
saying.
Chris Evans, and then second
So,
billing is
Chris Pratt.
I want to
Well,
see
no,
him
I'm
there.
Oh,
talking
I
about
see what you're
Civil
saying.
War.
Yeah.
Basically, I want
For
to see
this
him
one.
there, but he
Yeah.
would have to be. They would have to handle it so
Yeah.
that it doesn't outplay.
I mean,
Chris
Kevin
Pratt.
Feige, just don't lose your touch.
Yeah.
And I think you should be fine.
Yeah.
Who else is there? Specific? Okay, real quick question.
Mhm.
Kills Nebula in the past.
Uh-huh.
Nebula's still alive. Because the thing that gets to me is like, I don't think
'cause Gamora went back to the past. I think Gamora's in space.
Yeah.
She just
I
went
thought
off and
they were
did a different
searching.
life.
Yeah, that's why
Because
he's
it's
searching for it.
searching on
Because
the-
the thing
Yeah.
is, the way that they explained it before Hawkeye jumped for the first time, and they went all the hop to time machines thing. It's like you can't strangle Thanos and change your past.
Right.
That past becomes your future, and your present becomes the past. So whatever you're doing, you're bringing the past to the future, and so that's why Nebula killed the paradox of having two nebulas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanos was already dead. Gamora was already in Soul World. So it's like, that's what makes me like, do the people in Soul World still matter? Is Soul World even a thing? And Gamora is in space. Are they going to bring back Black Widow? Because again, we don't know what happens when you put a Soul Stone back. Like, you can't take something out and put it back in unless it's the exact same time and it replaces what you've just done.
Yeah.
Which is what he did.
Who did?
Cap.
Yeah, but he didn't put Gamora back.
The soul. No,
You know?
no, no.
But yeah,
the
but
Soul
yeah, he
Stone.
did that with the Soul Stone. He did that with Mjolnir. He did it with all the things.
So yeah, that's the big thing is like, what does putting back the Soul Stone mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what's the
according to the Ancient One and Mark Ruffalo's scene, it brings the timelines back.
No, but
together.
like,
no, like,
mechanically, what does that mean? Does it mean
you
you
just
slam
throw it over
dunk
throw it over the cliff?
oh, for the Soul
like-
Stone, yeah, I have
also-
no idea. I'm just talking about as far as
People?
the other ones go. Yeah, as far as the other ones
I
go,
get it.
it's a timeline.
Because those, it's like Tesseract. Well,
convergence.
the Space Stone doesn't have the Tesseract surrounding it anymore, but you assume that it's the same thing as just putting the stone in the container.
Yeah,
And everything else you can kind of mechanically, but then mechanically, how do you do
the Soul Stone.
the Soul Stone?
Yeah,
So that's interesting.
that I still think that's going to be answered.
You just flick
in
it over
Black
to
Widow.
To,
You
Also,
go up to
I'm-
the Red Skull and just be like, here you go, bud. We're good.
Also, I'm a little
Like a
tickled at the idea that he went and stabbed Jane and then put the ether back into her.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Gotta do what you
Well,
gotta do, man.
and something I'm curious about is like, so we have the Infinity Stones, and they're really super powerful. And then there's talk of Celestials and everything coming up then.
Eternals. Yeah.
Eternals, all of that business. So I guess we can speculate all we want about the things that we know about, but there are all these unknowns that are about to enter the picture, which makes me so skeptical about the finality of anything.
Yeah,
like
I
that,
mean,
that permanence impermanence thing.
that-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound condescending, but it's like, welcome to the world of comic books.
no, I know.
Yeah.
And I know.
DNA.
But that's what I mean is because it's coming from the world of comic books. We can only function off of what we presently have. So that's where this made me not trust things more
Because anything can happen.
because
now.
anything can happen.
So
no
I-
rules exist
the
anymore.
thing
Yeah.
about the comic world that actually it's weird that the movies can do better than the comics is that contracts can happen and people do die
yeah,
in real life.
yeah.
And so like if Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans says I'm out,
They're out.
they're out.
That's
and
the
so
other point
like
I
if
was
you
gonna
kill
bring up.
them, then you kill them the right way.
It's like I feel
Right.
like this was written, if it helps you feel more secure about the ending, is
Going
that
to where
they
Eisenberg
were written the way they were written because these actors are done playing the role.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
So it's
So you can be sure that at least those two
so at least that
are done.
incarnation of Iron Man and that incarnation of Cap,
Are done.
they're not going to bring him back. It's not that they can't, because they can't.
right.
You know, just time jump and go get him.
Yeah.
But I don't think they will because of that. Because you
Contracts.
can't. I can't even begin to. Maybe it's just too fresh, but I can't even begin to imagine them having a different actor playing Iron Man.
I
Yeah.
No, that
I almost
won't.
liken
it would be terrible storytelling to
I almost-
bring back Iron Man and
Yeah.
Cap.
I almost liken it to your fifth favorite movie,
Fourth?
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
They could not bring Heath Ledger into the third movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they wanted to respect his, him.
Right.
And so it's like they wrote the Joker out, even though he was an integral part of the third script.
Yeah, they rewrote the entire
And
script.
there's a sequence for that.
I
And
mean,
it's like, but
yeah.
they're not going to do that.
And
They
it's-
could have recast it. They could have put someone in makeup and done that. thing.
Right,
The
right,
people
right.
who are
They
dead
could have done a Rogue
that
One.
you know are coming back are the ones
Moff
they've
Tarkin.
announced movies for. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Gamora's coming back. There's a Black Widow movie. She's coming back. WandaVision.
Black Panther.
Vision's going to be around somehow.
Mhm.
So yes and no. I mean, there is some permanence, like you said, with contracts and stuff like that. And you can tell story-wise, you can tell which people are staying dead, right? So like story-wise, Iron Man's done. His arc's complete. There's no more stories for him.
Ollie is touching my shoulder.
Captain America's his arc's complete. There are no more stories for that for
You
Chris
put your-
Evans
you
to
put your
tell
hand up.
as Captain America. So
how
that
I
would be that's the
remember
only
him.
kind of finality we can offer. you.
Which and I trust that to an extent.
you think Chris Evans and Robert
I'm
Downey
just
Jr.
saying,
coming back?
No, I don't think they're coming back, but I also haven't ruled out curveballs. That's mainly what I'm getting at. Is
Yeah.
like
You're waiting for WrestleMania 20.
I will say this. I will say this though, Marvel. If you bring Robert Downey Jr. back somehow, I'll hate it. I will.
well, the
I just have
context
an
of
idea.
which he's brought back might also be
Hold
a
on.
thing.
Ollie,
You-
Ollie,
for me.
Ollie got something to say. Go bring
I
it.
just came to a realization.
Yeah.
What if somehow Cap took the Soul Stone, gave it back to Vision?
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Get Vision
dun,
back.
dun.
Yeah.
But then it still kind of breaks the.
Well, he didn't have the Soul Stone.
He did? No, he had the Mind Stone.
Oh
Mind Stone.
crap! He did.
But what
Yeah.
if he uses Soul
It was just
Stone
orange,
and
it
it
threw me
lives
off.
inside of Vision?
Damn it! Never mind. Cancel that.
But death may be uncertain. But for me, I am certain if they bring back Iron Man somehow through some plot device after the way they've sent him off, I'll hate it.
I don't disagree. I
Yeah.
would not be happy about it.
That's
either.
all I'm saying.
I'm just based on because I didn't come into this with a vast knowledge of comic books.
Mhm.
I've only learned what I have learned through Nerd On.
Right.
So
Dino DNA.
the whole like, the impermanence of permanence is now makes me question everything.
Yeah.
Permanence of impermanence.
Well,
The
I
permanence
think
of
that's
impermanence.
what
That's better.
that's what
yes.
these movies do so well, and it's something that just a general thing that I wanted to bring up at some point. But this movie, Russo brothers have this very specific style where they're kind of realistic, they're kind of grounded, but they still maintain that like comic book look and feel somehow, and
Right.
like every single shot looks like it's out of a page of a comic. And to me, this is like the comics are there for great source material, for great ideas that they can adapt into it, but the MCU is its own run.
Yeah.
Right.
And, like, I think-
it's its own universe.
I
They
think
actually talk
everything's-
about it in the comic books.
I think everything's self-contained. Like, yeah, they could have comic book reasons, scapegoats to bring somebody back, but I think it's like these movies is with it. They're more self-contained than we realize. I think is in that like
And I guess
for
I'm
the
not.
stories that are told, I feel like that's we should be following like more of that as far as your guide for what's coming up next, as opposed to like, oh, they could go do this, they could go do that from the comics.
Right.
I do want to bring up one more speculation
Yeah.
before we wrap things
No,
up.
yeah,
Do
for
it.
sure.
Who the fuck is going to be better than Thanos as a villain?
Dr.
Dr. Doom, Galactus. We
Angry
got
No.
the Molecule Man. We got
You know what's going to come down to?
Mangog. We got
You know what it's going to come down to, right?
Huh.
the Beyonders.
Casting.
Yeah, casting.
It's
Yeah.
going to come
For
down to
me,
casting.
if we were just going from character-wise, Doom would be my next choice.
Doom would be awesome. Doom with a little Mark Strong.
Mark Strong's already Doctor.
Oh yeah, Shazam.
Oh, that's
Shablam.
DC. Who cares?
That's fair.
I mean,
Don't take that out of
No, I
context.
mean,
no, it's the Jaimin Hansu
Clipping
arc.
that
yeah.
immediately.
Jaimin Hansu lives
Yeah.
in every universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but I don't think that they would.
No.
Yeah,
Not
I
Mark
don't-
Strong, but
Yeah, I don't know.
Doctor Doom would be
idea.
my go-to. Like if you're thinking of like who's as scary as Thanos, Doom scares the shit
Doom.
out of me as a villain.
but
Oh,
that
that
could
would be-
also allow them to introduce.
Fantastic
Introduce
Four.
Fantastic
Yeah.
Four.
Because in Secret Wars, he does rip Thanos' skull or spine out of his body.
Ow.
It's
Mhm.
dope as shit.
That sounds painful.
God,
It's
Doom.
pretty hardcore.
But do you think that they'll use that as an opportunity to bring in
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Doom.
I mean, they kind of have to at some point.
Okay. So you could bring in Fantastic Four
I mean,
two ways. I think Galactus or Doom. I think Doom plays a really good role. Like Doom is almost to me a liken to Loki, where like he's kind of a likable villain. He's like a Magneto.
Yeah.
You know, he's like he does this for his people, but also it's like he became Sorcerer Supreme. He became Invincible Iron or infamous Iron Man. Like he's smarter than Iron. He's like as smart as Iron Man. He's like almost as smart as Reed, and he's like just as good in magic as Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
It's like he's triple
It's terrifying.
threat.
What
He's
if
got probably
he-
a good booty or some shit.
What if it's like a Doctor Doom is the Loki to Galactus's Thanos, where he's like this villain that shows up in the first few movies.
But
like
there
the
is a
first-
thing for that. It's called a Quicksilver
Yeah. Quicksilver is his herald.
That's true.
or Silver Server.
That sorry.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a Quicksilver. But yeah.
I guess I was thinking. Yeah, I guess he's more of a herald.
And I don't know if I'm ready to see Silver Surfer again yet. As R.I.P. Doug Jones's character.
Doug Jones is alive and well. But
yeah, no.
that-
Just his
that
characterization
franchise-
was great, but
the
that
portrayal's
movie
going to
just
be I wonder if they'll be more creative with how it looks.
As much as I do like Galactus, I think Doom would just by himself is his own terrifying. I don't think I need another big bad guy behind it. I think they can have smaller villains that are working for Doom, and I would love that.
I think, yeah, talking about it, it sounds like Doom possibly is the best new pick for like the new arcing villain because they, Marvel's already said they're going to take time to bring in the X-Men.
Yeah.
And if it was the X-Men, Apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Yeah.
It's very clear that I think we're going to see Fantastic Four sooner than we think, based on some of Kevin Feige's comments, and him specifically saying that they're going to sit on X-Men for a bit, which I agree with. They need to let it breathe. And,
Secondly,
But that could just be 5 years, which is
right. I don't think it'll be
not
any more
that
than
long.
and you need, I mean, we're younger than 5 years, but you need
we're
someone
younger
to
than 5 years.
Nerdon is younger than 5 years.
Oh yeah, I was like, what do you mean?
We need someone to kind of replace the vacuum of Iron Man is not there anymore.
Right.
So we need the smartest person in the universe.
Or does it have to be the smartest person in the universe?
Well, Reed Richards is smarter than Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Legit.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Is legit.
Yeah. Do you think so? That brings up an interesting topic. Do you think Reed Richards would have what it takes if they did it properly for him to be the center of a?
No, he's
No,
not
no,
going
no.
to be.
He's
Like,
not.
you're
You're
just
just
saying
talking
they
about
need-
like.
They need
a smart
the
person.
smart plot device.
Got it.
Yeah,
Because Banner's
They need
not
science
it.
man
But
Banner's specialized field.
yeah, his
can-
gamma
who
radiation.
can invent time travel on his first try.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, do you think Pym could have?
Hank Pym.
Because they were like
Well, they
equals.
knew
I think
about
best-
time
I
vortexes,
think, yeah.
right? I think it was probably theoretical,
He
but
wasn't
not what they
snapped.
were.
Yeah.
And plus, I think with Janet being sucked into the quantum realm, probably halted his research and probably didn't go as deep into it.
I also have a hard time believing that it's Tony's first try at time travel. After everything he's done to try to protect humanity, I think Scott Lang kind of just gave him a
The
little.
final
Well, I
piece.
think he
It was
definitely.
I
I think he definitely theorized it.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like.
but now that
Yeah.
he's like, well, now I have access to the quantum realm. Let me spend some time on that kind of time travel theory, and then he nails it. He's like, fuck.
I think that's all.
I feel complete.
I feel
I got
complete.
one more Easter egg.
Lay
Is
on
it
us.
what Cap and Tony said to each other in the first Avengers when he's like, everything that's special about you came out of a bottle, and he's like, you don't have what it takes to make the sacrifice play, and then in this movie, those both came to fruition.
No.
How was that though? Huh?
That was good.
Which
So we had two
you
Easter
ever think
eggs.
about that?
That was beautiful.
Don't leave me hanging, Josh. Thank you.
I was going to
literally-
hold your hand.
I
but that's
literally
what-
talked
was
about it
from
with my
Maryland.
roommate, and I talked about it with you, but I forget if I mentioned it here. But I was just like, I forget, and it's not listed here, so I'm just like, I just gotta make sure I say this. Chris Claremont.
Oh yeah.
Chris Claremont, who wrote Infinity Gauntlet, is in the support group.
He's the bald guy.
bald guy with the beard.
Nice.
so is Joe Russo.
So is Joe Russo.
Yeah.
And Joe Russo's comment on why he had that cameo is because when you're talking about the decimation of half-life of the universe, you need somebody that brings in the reality of it. And it has to be a human and not Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
So
that's
now we're complete.
Now
Now we are
That was
complete.
the end game.
Everybody at home, thank you so
I'm
much for
ending in my
listening.
games.
Man.
Come
So-
on,
I thought we were
Tom,
gonna avoid it.
seriously.
No.
Never. Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening to over 2 hours. I loves it.
Yeah.
Loves it. Thank you so much for hanging out. Tell us your thoughts,
favorite
speculations,
parts?
Who
your
were your favorite
ratings.
characters?
Who,
What suits did you like? Were you
Yeah.
wearing hockey pads or
Oh
not?
my god.
When you watched the film.
How many times did you pee in the theater? Or are you an adult and don't have to during the movies?
just because
I want to shout out to Lord of the Rings
Never mind.
Extended Editions. My whole life training for this film.
Yep.
It's been great.
Wow. I mean, true though.
So yes, thank you so much for listening. If you are new to Nerd On, check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has all the information there, like newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter. We have another show, Trope Time, first Monday of the month. Check them out as hosted by our friends Izzy and Nikki. We have merch. We forgot to mention this up
Yeah.
at the top.
For everyone that's
Merchandise.
listening at home, if you want a dope shirt that looks like Avengers Endgame, but you want to get your nerd on, go check out our website.
We
and
have a
buy
sale
it.
going on until the 9th if you enter
9th of May.
May 9th. If you enter the code Endgame at checkout, you get 25% off your order.
Whole order.
Get your merch on.
Boom. Snap that checkout.
Oh.
Anyway.
Maybe twice, just so you live through it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that is everything.
That's it.
That's awesome. On that, as always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.